Hey, what's happening, y'all? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? It is me coming back at you again with another live stream vid. Okay. So this right here is going to be very, very interesting here. Now, give me a second, guys, as I go along with the story here. Let me just make sure I have test some certain things here. Uh, da, 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 da. All right. Okay, that's a bit better. So today we're going to talk about a very, very, very interesting and perhaps a dire situation with the zone right now. Because in case some of you may not have heard, and there's a couple videos that are going out about this, and I thought I'd hop on and chime in my 2 cents on this particular situation, is that the zone and the Canelo relationship, or particularly in the Golden Boy relationship, is becoming very, very, very sour at this point. And the reason being is that according to Mike Coppinger, who writes for The Atlantic, according to his sources, the relationship with the zone, the issue the zone has is not with Canelo directly, is that they have a actually a internal direct issue with Golden Boy, his promoter, which is Oscar De La Hoya. The reason being is because is that they feel the zone has felt that they have not gotten their return investment as they would hope for out of Canelo due to his matchups. It all started with the Rocky Fielding fight back in late 2018 or early 2018, I should say, and then it progressed from there with Danny Jacobs, and then it progressed with then moved on to Sergey Kovalev. Now, the zone were not happy with those two particular fights because they felt it has not produced the not only the revenue that they were looking for, but also the subscriber count that they were looking for. So that's why they're unhappy right now. And due to the COVID situation, things have been uh, things financial the financial stranglehold on certain companies and certain infrastructures in media and retail, wholesale, sports, you name it, has been a very, very dire situation. Has been a very, very dire circumstances, I should say. And the Zone, being a streaming platform, is not a traditional media platform where they use various. They don't have various streams of income to keep their company afloat because they only have one stream of income that's through to providing sports content. Okay. And when COVID hit, Zone quickly put out a press release stating that they will not pay the agreed upon TV rights and licensing rights to the uh, to the sports brands that they agreed to license with, such as certain the football leagues in Japan, the football some various football leagues in Europe, and so forth. So they agreed not to do that, which is kind of unusual for a sports media provider to do so. But in this instance, the Zone is just the OTT, which is over the top streaming platform provider. They don't have, again, multiple strings of income to help keep their company afloat. So they had to make drastic budget cuts. Furthermore, I would say is that the Zone has recently went to seek out another $1 billion of funding from investors. I'm not sure who's the investment group they hired to help acquire those funds. I have a feeling Goldman Sachs, or it could have been Charles Schwab. I don't know. I think it's Goldman Sachs who they hired to go and procure those funds. Now, in lieu to that, with the recent situation with Canelo, they're telling Canelo that we will not honor your agreed upon $35 million guaranteed per fight, which is bizarre to me because how could the Zone do that unless there's a special clause in that contract which they have a discretionary right to pay what they see fit is not viewed as agreed upon, which I'm sure Golden Boy and his lawyers should have looked at that contract very carefully. And I don't know why would they decide to sign on that. I don't know. Maybe Oscar didn't get his lawyers involved, didn't get his representatives involved in the situation, or his legal counsel, I should say. It seems bizarre to me that the Zone will go and do this. Now, if they don't have any provisional or a discretionary right to do so, then they could be held legally liable. and be taken to court over this. And the only problem with that is that Canelo will have to sit out until this whole legal situation will be resolved. Kind of like this somewhat similar situation with Andre Ward and his old promoter, the late Dan Goosen, which I know that's a different situation. But what I'm saying is, if you want to get out of a contract and you sign on a contract which you're locked into for a certain amount of time, you can't fight or you can't do anything until that legal situation is resolved. And that's something Andre Ward had to go through. And that's the reason why he was inactive for such a long stretches of time, because he was trying to get that legal situation resolved with Dan Goosen. And I know he's lost multiple cases. His attorneys filed multiple appeals. They've lost and they've appealed until the whole thing got dragged out until Dan Goosen's death. But needless to say, though, it's very very weird why the zone will go ahead and make and do these drastic take these drastic steps such as you know um trying to not honor his man agreed upon guaranteed dollars amount that you guys agreed that you pay him per fight. Now they were supposed to get the Triple G and the Canelo trilogy fight this fall, which should have happened. Actually, it should happen probably in the next few days or so. But due to COVID, those plans has been scrapped because you need a live gate to recruit the revenue that you're going to pay for these fighters, particularly, with the revenues and the licensing fees, this, that, and the third. So that's why that plan has fell apart. And also, what's going on is that with the Canelo and the LV Virdum situation, where the zone has rejected that fight, they refuse to finance it, and they're asking Canelo to fight someone better than LV Virdum at super middleweight. They want Callum Smith. They'll accept Callum Smith, and they'll accept Billy Joe Saunders. Now I heard Mark McGregor's channel. He's saying that the zone rejected those two fights. With all due respect, I mean, unless somebody can show me any information pertaining to that, because I can't find that anywhere. However, what I was able to find is that the zone are willing to fund that fights, but the problem is that they're refusing to pay Canelo the agreed upon $35 million for either one of those fights. They said that they are asking him and pleading him to take at least a 50% reduction in those purses to get to get those fights going. And this is where I find this a bit bizarre, because why would, again, the zone, do they have any discretionary rights to decrease a fighter's purse, even though they guaranteed him $35 million per fight? And they also guaranteed him a share of the subscriptions that he gains per fight. And this is this is a fucked up situation. And now you wonder why Deontay Wilder never signed on to that zone deal. Okay, and I know there's people still going around criticizing him for signing that deal, because we would have gotten the AJ fight, which is bullshit. With people do not understand is that even if he signed on to that deal, number one, AJ and Wilder were not going to meet up immediately. They would have two inner fights in between, and AJ was still on a fight by fight per basis with the zone. He was not locked into a multi-fight deal. So that's why Wilder's team walked backed out of that. It's like, well, why they were looking at it one instance, it's like, well, okay, what are the other financial terms in the situation? Number one. Number two, why isn't the guy that we're trying to secure a fight with, why is he locked into a multi-fight deal? Why am I have to be subjected to that? And this is something the zone has admitted by John Skipper himself. They've admitted that they were not prepared to answer any of those financial questions to Wilder's team. So they admitted they fucked up that deal. But people want to go ahead and be very evasive about that very point. But it is what it is. But again, imagine if Wilder had signed on to that deal. Number one, we haven't gotten that AJ fight because AJ had lost to Ruiz, and then he had his guaranteed rematch clause. Number two, Wilder would have been stuck into the deal until he wouldn't be able to fight anybody. So it's like maybe he did make the smart or wise decision not to sign on to the company, because now look at him. Now they can't even pay out guaranteed purses, while you have PBC and you have Top Rank is still able to do that. Why? Because they're tight. They actually signed deals. They have a financial obligations with the traditional media companies that have various revenues and streams to pay out their purses. So that's the reason why they're able to be able to have some bit of leeway and flexibility with them. But to be fair, Wilder and Fury 3. That reason why that fight's been held up because their purses are so high to the point they do need a live gate to kind of help make to break even or pay off those fighters, which name entice Fury Deontay Wilder. So let's be fair in that situation. But still, though, at the same time, I don't know, man. What's up, Tommy Temper? What's up, Ahmed? What's up, Kaib? I don't know, man. This is just bad. This is just horrible, man. Let me get into this article real quick because this is just bad, bad. I don't know why the zone would come out and say that Canelo hasn't really lived up to the expectations given in his given his matchup making. Because look what he's fought at the zone. He's fought Rocky Fielding. Okay. That's not a war level opponent. Let's be fair. Okay, great. We'll give you your little your critique, your legit critique in that situation. Now, but after that, he fought Danny Jacobs, which is a good unification middleweight matchup. Very good fight. I mean, not the best middleweight fight, but a very good fight. Then you had him go up to light heavyweight fight Sergey Kovalev, which is had his moments in that fight. He knocked out Kovalev, but still, the zone were not happy about the matchup making. I think in one instance, in one element, they were when they mean by not happy with the matchup making is that they were not hopeful that the matchup making will produce results, and they haven't. That's evident. They haven't. Maybe one particular matchup making did pretty well in their eyes, which was the Danny Jacobs fight. But other than that, the zone hasn't really. They haven't really been successful. Let's just be honest. They haven't. They had some great matchup making. I'll give them that. They put on some damn good fights, but it hasn't produced results. Okay, why do you ask that? Well, maybe it's because of the fact that they're still new to the US market. They they I think they truly underestimated the fact that one, you have to understand they're an OTT provider. And again, you guys understand what OTT provider is. They are over the top on stream, on demand streaming services where it requires broadband services. And the problem with that is that broadband is not available in rural areas. Particularly, there's many rural areas in the United States where it's not available, and people love to watch fights traditionally at bars or pubs, as you call it in Europe, um, or other places on traditional TV or satellite, which is pay-per-view or cable. And that's the problem with that is they weren't able to create that. They weren't able to expand that outreach to the rural areas because of the fact that they're only a broadband provider. That's the problem. And one of Canelo's biggest supporters live in rural areas for the most part. That's a fact. So I don't know, man. Honestly, to be honest with you, I hope they can get this situation resolved. But from the looks of it, Canelo's not fighting for the remainder of the year based off what's going on. And that's fucked up because he hasn't fought since 2019. So we're now entering the fact that he's on a 1-year layoff, and now he's going to go into 2021, not knowing what's going to happen next. It seems to me, even though they will try to resolve this issue, it seems to me that Golden Boy may have to make a financial call here and say, you know what, we need to find a way to get out of this contract with the zone. In fact, the situation is so bad to the point that Golden Boy even had to cancel one of their cards with the zone because of this fucked up situation. They had to cancel it. I think that card was going to feature Seneda Estrada. So that was supposed to be that card was supposed to take place last week, I believe. So I think they're going to have to find a way out of this, and of course that's going to take time. And Canelo's going to be out of the ring more time because you're going to have a litigation battle on your hands. The zone supposedly have deep pockets to fight this legally, but who knows? Since they're so cash strapped right now, do they really want to take this battle to court for stretches of time, or are they going to go ahead and pay out a settlement, or come to a settlement and say, okay, we're going to release Canelo from his contract and let him go elsewhere? Now, speaking of the Yildirim fight, it seems to me that the PBC may be interested, or Showtime or CBS may be interested in going ahead and picking up that fight and funding it. So we'll see what's as details further progress there. But other than that, it's bad, man. It's just horrible. And again, I'll repeat myself. It seems to me the best move would be. I hope they can get this resolved, but if they can't, the Canelo just have to get out of that contract, and Golden Boy will have to leave too. The question is where they're going to go. We know Oscar does not like CBS because of Al Heyman, but it seems to the point that he if he doesn't want to go there, then top ESPN. But the problem is ESPN has an exclusive. I think they have an exclusive contract with Top Rank, so that's a no-no. So what's the next step? You have to go to Showtime because I don't think Heyman and PBC have an exclusive contract. I could be wrong, but if they don't, then you might as well just go over there and host your cards there and do some matchup making with Heyman and his PBC stable. So Canelo's gonna. I mean, not Canelo. Golden Boy is gonna be in a very very tough spot here if they're gonna decide to legally get out of this somehow, find a legal loophole to get out of their contract. So yeah, man, let's just hope this thing can get resolved. But again, it looks from the looks of it, Canelo's not going to fight for the remainder of the year. It's sad. The number one pound for pound fighter of the world is now tied up in a legal situation with an OTT on demand streaming platform provider who's refusing to pay his guaranteed purse. And they want him to take a 50% pay reduction, which is bullshit in my eyes. But again, I understand one aspect they're in the middle of a pandemic. I get that. But at the same time, you have to understand is that this is a guaranteed amount that you guys signed him on to. So what's the problem here? You know, this is amazing, man. This is bad. Now, Canelo can afford to sit out for a year or two or maybe 3 years. Let's be honest, he can. He's made so much money to the point that he's probably can retire at this point if he wants to. So yeah, man. Well, let's hope this is resolved. Now, on to some other news, just real quickly, guys. There's ramblings going around that Anthony Joshua may vacate his WBO title due to the fact that the IBF he has an mandatory fight with Kubrat Pulev that's penciled in for next month. Whatnot at O2 Arena, I believe. And of course, that's when they're going to start having live gates again over there in the UK. But after that, the WBO will immediately call their mandatory to be due after the IBF. And Alexander Usyk has made it clear that there will be no step asides involved. He's taking a shot and he's going to get it. He's not taking any deals. He doesn't care. He's been adamant about it. And Eddie Hearn, I believe, was commented to say that he and Joshua May will have to go ahead and vacate that title. And in one instance, I can understand why, because Joshua has been going through back-to-back tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. Now, some say Kubrat Pulev is more of a tune-up, but Pulev is not an easy opponent. Let's be real. He's going to give Joshua a tough fight. But hey, this is the heavyweight division. Things can happen, surprisingly. But tough fight after tough fight. Joshua may need a break and just go ahead and vacate one of those belts for now, and then he'd be able to get it back eventually if because at one point Usyk does win that title, and if it becomes vacant, then Daniel Dubois and Usyk will be the fight that will have to be made. And if Usyk wins, then Eddie Hearn still has the WBO because Usyk is signed to Matchroom on a co-promotional deal, and they can make a unification bout with Joshua eventually if Joshua can hold on to his remaining titles. So I hope AJ doesn't vacate. But from the looks of it, way things are going right now, from what the ramblings that's been happening, it's a very strong possibility that he will vacate before or after the Pulev fight. It's very hard to be to keep multiple titles because you can't keep every sanctioned body happy. And going back to and to be fair though, the WBO hasn't had a mandatory defense fulfilled since 2017. So it's nearly 3 years. It's been 3 years now, and they're getting impatient. So they want that to be they want that mandatory to be called. And I know people are saying, well, what about undisputed? What about undisputed? I get that, but AJ and Fury are nowhere near making a deal. They haven't even reached out to each other and presented an offer. At least Wilder and Joshua had proposed offers with each other. So there was one instance of that, of steps of that undisputed fight at that time could have been made. But with Fury and Joshua, there's no steps that's been made. All they've been doing has been bad mouthing each other back and forth, and no one has presented a financial sheet to either party. So they're far, far, far from that fight, that clash ever happening. Now, again, there's a possibility that Joshua and Fury could lock horns. despite the fact that Joshua would vacate that WBO title, so that way he could pursue that fight rather than fight Usyk in the mandatory challenge, in the mandatory situation. So we'll see. We'll see how that plans out. So Joe Host, what's going on, man? He says that why are they getting mad now? I mean, didn't they say nothing? Didn't they say nothing when he fought Rocky Fielding? That's a good question. I mean, here's the thing, man. When the zone came out, right, their whole campaign, their marketing scheme is that we're gonna disrupt the market, the media market, the sports media market, that is. And there, you do need change. And we're going to do that by introducing a platform that's only going to cost you $10 a month, $99 for the year, or 90 a year at the time, I believe. All right. You get unlimited fights. You also get to you could go ahead and rewatch those fights on demand on our platform. And the fact is, you get premium fights at no additional charge, which means is that there is no pay per view. So, in other words, they were marketing into themselves to say the pay per view market is dead. We're going to take over. We're going to show you how it's done. Okay, great. But the problem is that okay, you're a subscription platform that focuses on sport content, but how are you gonna how where are you gonna get the money to go ahead and pay for these fighters? I mean, seriously. They were throwing out these contracts, this, that, and there. They did have billion-dollar contracts for licensing rights to certain sports and other markets in the world. I get all that. So I guess they were using that money to help pay those fighters. Let's be real. I think that's what they were doing. And the question is that how are you going to recoup the money that you're paying these fighters, particularly Canelo Alvarez? Because Canelo Alvarez is not a cheap fighter. He's a very expensive fighter to pay for his services. And of course, people say that, well, they'll get subscribers. They'll get subscribers. Okay, great. Then how are you going to retain those subscribers? Because let's be real, fighters, if you want to get subscribers, they're only going to pay to watch Canelo. They're not going to pay for any other fight. So the way it's going to work, and as I predict, is that people who are going to watch Canelo fight, they're going to pay at one-time charge for like $10, and they're going to cancel their subscription. So the question is, how are you going to retain those customers? How are you going to keep them loyal to pay for the monthly subscription? And no one had no answer to that. And I'm sure the Zone's marketing team were scrambling to figure that out as well, because just this whole model just didn't quite add up. Is that okay? You're throwing out all this type of money, and some feel that these fighters were overpaid, like Gennady Golovkin, for example. You giving him $100 million contract, and yet he hasn't fought no one other than Sergey Deverchenko. Well, that was a mandatory fight, so Golovkin couldn't choose and pick his opponent out of that situation. But if they want to be upset at Canelo, yeah, I'll post a link, comment. Yeah, if they're going to get up in the zone, if they're going to get upset with Canelo for not fulfilling his and Golden Boy not fulfilling up their promises, whatnot, then why are they upset at Gennady Golovkin? Okay, why not upset with him? He hasn't fought no one on the level of Canelo Alvarez since signing on to the zone. Let's be real. Other than Sergey Deverchenko, which many people felt that he lost that fight. All right. Look at Golovkin's level of opponents. He's had two fights since he signed on to that zone for that big, lucrative $100 million deal. He signed on to fight Steve Rose. Okay, no one's never heard of Steve Rose, a Canadian fighter who's touching up Golovkin, which I predicted because Golovkin is a very hittable guy. The man has no defense to save his fucking life, and he has slow reflexes. So he was going to get touched up. All right. Then he got him out in 4 rounds in a very tough 4 round fight for Golovkin. And then he got into a war with Sergey Deverchenko, got hurt in that fight, could have gotten knocked out if it wasn't saved by the referee. Let's be real. And since then, now he's fighting in his he could have gotten a direct fight with Canelo Alvarez, what I've been told. But the fact is now he's gonna due to the COVID situation, he's gonna fight his mandatory and a guy we never heard of. But the zone's gonna pay for that. I mean, seriously, are they gonna pay Golovkin's guarantee purse? I would love to see what the zone come out and tell Golovkin that you're gonna have to take a pay cut. Now, if Golovkin accept that's all him. That's all on him. But what I'm saying is that why are they criticizing Gennady Golovkin for his level of opposition, but they're criticizing Canelo? Now there has to be a fair criticism here. They have to be fair here. Now, let's be real. All right, let me go to the chat. So what's up, Blood? Blood says that the sanctions bodies know what they're doing. Exactly. Talking about the WBO, they know. And I think again, going to the Joshua WBO title situation, there's high probability that he will vacate that belt. Now, is a possibility he's going to do that because he wants to go ahead and get the Tyson Fury fight underway. But the problem with that situation is that They haven't have come close to present an offer from from one party to another. Not even close. So I don't know, man. Or maybe because Joshua would vacate, given the fact that he doesn't want to go through that whole level of stress to defending against one dangerous opposition after another dangerous opposition after excuse me, after another dangerous opposition. I mean, look, Joshua, to be fair, even though he's got his share of criticisms on my channel, but at the same time, Joshua has been fighting tough opponent after tough opponent after tough opponent after tough opponent. I think, I'm gonna just be fair. I think he needs to rest up a little bit and take an easy touch up after the Pulev fight. I think he does. And if he wants to go ahead and vacate that belt, go ahead. By all means, vacate it. He'll get it back. He'll get it back. We'll get the undisputed fight, guys. Believe me, it will. It will happen. I believe it will. It won't be a long time for us to wait. I believe it. Let's see. Let me see. Blood says the zone can't afford to pay them for their bull crap anymore. Well, yeah, exactly. Because again, they don't have other streams of revenue to pay for their fighters. And I knew this was going to be a mistake when they put out those lucrative contracts. I mean, let's be honest here. I'm not trying to. I know we all like to do. We like to do pocket watching for most of these fighters, right? But in one sense, we are fair to do that because we're actually paying for these fighters' purses because we're watching them fight and provide us the entertainment. So Mikey Garcia got a one-fight deal worth $7 million. And who would he fight? He fought Jesse Vargas. Now, that's up to your opinion here, but was Mikey Garcia even worthy of $7 million to fight a guy like Jesse Vargas, who's not really looked as a world level opponent at this point, more of a step up fight for people on a world level? I mean, come on, man. I mean, seriously, $7 million to fight that guy, and that was only on a one-fight deal, and Mikey Garcia hasn't even signed on to a multi-fight deal after that with the zone. I mean, what were they thinking in that situation to give Mikey Garcia that flexibility to fight a guy that no one really wanted to see him fight after the Errol Spence fight? Let's be real. Okay, yeah, he took a beating against Errol Spence. Some would argue that he needed a soft touch up, but still, though. So, I mean, Jesse Vargas on a $7 million one fight deal. I mean, come on, man. What was the zone thinking? Especially in their cash trap situation before COVID, they gave him that money. I mean, come on. Let me see. Let me see. Hamed says the Eddie Hearn is on our backtracking if Fury fights Joshua and they're going to do it at joint pay-per-view. Yeah, exactly, Ahmed. That's a double standard there on Eddie Hearn because he's the one who's been advocating the whole pay-per-view is a dire straight situation in the United States. It's gone. It's gone. We're going to take the zone's going to take over. We're going to show you how it's done here. I'm going to show you how it's done. And of course, Eddie himself has openly admitted that he's underestimated or overestimated the U.S. market as I predict he will because he was arrogant. And nothing wrong being arrogant because you've been successful in in business and in understanding marketing. I get all that, but in some cases you're going to underestimate, you're going to overestimate how things are. And he understood that, and now he understands that the zone, as I predict, will happen eventually. If they're going to have to pay these fighter purses and make Canelo happy, they're going to have to give him a pay-per-view platform where they give him a share of that pay-per-view revenue. They're going to have to do it. The zone pay-per-view is coming, guys. Watch and see. Let's see. You will see my channel. What's up, man? He says, let me see. The fact hard days. Yeah, I remember that. Let me see. The zone can't afford Canelo. They finally realized what they finally realized what we knew signing day. What a joke. Yeah, I mean, exactly. It just, I don't know, man. Look, I understand when you're now the zone is not a startup company. I get it. They just enter a new market in the United States where the sport of boxing is very niche, as you want to call it. It's not a very popular sport. Only on certain fights it's popular. I get that. But why in the world would they fork out all these money to all these fighters who are not really ticket draws compared to Canelo Alvarez, like Gennady Golovkin, for example? Gennady Golovkin can't draw that much money compared to Canelo Alvarez, but yet they gave him $100 million contract, and they haven't recouped their investment from his fights yet. They haven't, and let's be real, and they haven't criticized Golovkin for his level of opposition. But anyways, they don't got the money. What do you guys think of Rosario versus Charlo? Very good fight, and Charlo's going to have to be, I think he's going to have to keep the fight from a distance because you can't give Rosario any chance to fight in the inside because he can smother you in there. He's very good inside. He can mix it up very well, and he's very tall. He's very rangy too. So it's going to be a very tough fight for Charlo, but Charlo is a little bit more craftier than J-Rock. J-Rock is a good boxer himself, but he just got caught up in the exchanges, and he didn't do a good job of holding on when he got hurt. He just wanted to fight him off, but he just couldn't fight off Rosario, and he just couldn't hold on to him. Just too big and too strong. And that's the thing about Rosario. He's a big ass light middleweight. He's big. He's huge. So Charles, this is not going to be a very easy fight for Charlo. I mean, I predict Charlo to win. As far as a knockout, I don't see it. I think it's a 12-round decision, but we'll see. Joe says the money just ain't there. Yeah, I agree. Blood's going for Rosario. He don't like Jamel Charlo. Fair enough, Blood. Fair enough. Well, let me see. Canelo should fight Billy Joe Saunders, but Billy Joe doesn't want to fight. Well, here's the thing, though. Billy Joe, I don't think Billy Joe has the passion to fight anymore. He doesn't have it. It's sad though because Billy Joe Saunders is an unbelievable talent, man. He's very crafty. He's just so good at what he does. But the problem with Billy Joe is that, as he admitted in previous interviews, is that temptation is like when you get these multi-million-dollar deals when you make $1 million plus per fight, then your drive and your passion dies down. That's what happened to fighters. And unfortunately, it happened too soon for Billy Joe Saunders when he was known to get in trouble and have some, make some, obscene comments, blows up in weights in between fights. The man even blew up to like 200 and over 200 plus pounds. I think one of those fights had to be called off because he couldn't make the weight for the fight. So it's sad though, man. It's sad though, that he's gone this direction of obscurity where we don't know what he wants to do now. Yeah, I mean, look, I think he has the boxing skills, but to your point, you will see is that Billy Joe does. I don't think he can gain Canelo's respect. I don't think he can. And Canelo, surprisingly not, Canelo's a flat-footed fighter. He doesn't have the fastest feet, but the man can slip punches. He can box very well for a guy who's limited in foot speed. So, yeah, Billy Joe probably knows he can't win that fight, so that's probably why he. But in that case, he's gonna have if he wants to continue on the sport, he's got to do something because I don't know, man. I don't know what he can do at this point. Is he gonna retire? Maybe. I don't know, man. But we'll have to wait and see what he does. Um, Blood says, "Isn't that Charlo pay-per-view? Is it? Yeah, it is. It's a pay-per-view fight. It is. Well, you will see. It's not an undisputed title fight because first of all, one of the titles is not on the line. That's the WBO title, and that title is held by Patrick Teixeira out of Argentina. Or is he from Argentina or is he from Brazil? I think he's from Argentina. I think he's from Brazil. I have to go check and see. But anyway, Teixeira actually holds that title. So he fights on Top Rank, I believe. So yeah, it's for 3 belts on the line, not 4 belts. Let's see, because they need to build their profile. Nobody knows their guys. Yeah, and you know what, Blood? I commented on this too, man. Let me say this. The Charlo, when they first announced the Charlo twins fight to be on pay-per-view, I was shocked about that. I was like, wait, what? Why these? I mean, why? I mean, I like the Charlo twins, but why they even be featured on pay-per-view? Because they haven't had no momentum. Their profiles hasn't even increased to justify the pay-per-view fight. Let's be real. I know people criticize Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury being the pay-per-view fight here in the United States, but at least with Wilder had momentum. He had his profile increased. He'd be going before that fight, the first fight that I'm at with Deontay Wilder. We can all admit that. So at least with him, he was justifiable because he was fighting a very, very top heavyweight, a very good heavyweight, and a top heavyweight, Tyson Fury. So he was justified to have his first fight on pay-per-view against a very worthy opponent. So with Charlo, I'm not saying the Charlos are not fighting worthy opponents. They are fighting worthy opponents. But the problem is that there hasn't been no momentum on their profiles to increase to justify the pay-per-view. But hey, I'm not the matchmaker here. That's if CBS or Showtime wanted to make that call, by all means, let them do it. But other than that, I don't know, man. I think it's a terrible mistake. You guys can hop in if you want. I'll put the link in the chat. All right, so you will see the WBA, IBF, and WC titles on the line, right? Yeah, those are the 3 titles that are on the line. If you want to count the IBO, go ahead and count that, but I don't count it. It's a minor belt. But yeah, those three titles are on the line. All right, let me get the rest of the guys on the chat here because I know I can't be on a little bit. All right, so let's see. Tommy Tipper, how bad group? On, I'm live. Thanks, Tommy. All right, get this in here. Yeah, the reason more people knew the 1980 fighters is because they fought on TV, just like ABC's two-fight deal with Sanchez in the early 80s. Yeah, like Salvador Sanchez. That's a good point, man. It's like, yeah, back then, cable TV or satellite TV wasn't really prevalent. It was mainly public TV, and that's how most of those fighters were more known because they had more viewership back then on public TV more so than cable television or satellite TV. So yeah, that's a good point. You guys believe in the evidence Wilder claims he'll bring out soon? Did Deontay Wilder say something about the fact that he felt that Tyson Fury cheated him in their rematch? I know there was a rumor that he said something to that extreme, but I looked at his social media page and I haven't found any comments that he said that. But let me look it up again. Yeah, I haven't seen anything where Wilder has said something about that. I mean, let me look at it. Let me just be fair here. Let me look at the news here. I haven't seen either. Yeah, Wilder hasn't even made those claims. I don't know where that's coming from. Yeah, if you could show me, hey, you will see my channel. If you could show me, where Wilder had said something like this, yeah, point to the source where he said that he claimed that Fury had, he has evidence that Fury had cheated him. Yeah, I agree, Joe Host. If Wilder feels that way, then he should wait to after the third fight, and then if he beats him, then then you can present that, because then you conclude your trilogy fight with him. All right. 78 is his media outlet. I mean, so 78 had said that. So 78 said that Wilder told him this. Hmm. Well, if that's the case, why would 78 ever share that information? Because I think that's something that should be kept to private. I mean, that's just my take on it, but I don't know. Blood says there, fuck that evidence. He should have brought it out when he got it. I mean, nobody got time for that dumb. I mean, I agree. Why would you release it now before going into the third fight? I don't get it. Is it just to play psychological mind games with Fury? Is that what he's trying to do? Me personally, I think he's doing a good job at it by not responding to the motherfucker. Because let's be real, Tyson Fury gets the way to get Tyson Fury going, to get his confidence going, is that he wants you to react to him because he knows how to overtalk you. You're not going to outtalk Tyson Fury. That's not going to happen. If you don't respond to him and don't give him any the attention that he wants so badly, then that's when Tyson Fury gets pissed off. That's when he gets unraveled. That's when he gets unhinged. He gets uneased because if you don't respond to him and if you're not fazed by his psychological games, then he gets nervous. He panics. He doesn't know what to do because technically you have to understand boxing is about 70% mental, as people will say. To beat your opponent, you have to get into their head mentally because you have to throw them off their fight game plan by doing that. And Tyson Fury is very good at doing that. If he can't get in your head, then he panics, he crumbles, he doesn't know what to do. So I think Wilder needs to doing a good job by not saying anything to the guy and not give him the attention in the world and focus on the adjustments you need to make for the rematch. So yeah, that's my take on it. Yeah. So we'll just wait till the other guys get on if they can. All right, cool. Let's see if anybody else want to jump on here. All right. Oh, that's just me. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, be on it for a few minutes, guys. Let me see here. So another news. As far as the Andre Ward's got his contract extended with ESPN for a for another 3 years, I believe. I mean, I don't think anybody really cares about that, but not surprising because Ward has done a good job commentating for ESPN, so that's no surprise there. Ward took a jab at Josh Taylor. I think he said something to the effect that Josh Taylor's not a good inside fighter, and Josh Taylor didn't take that very kindly. He criticized Andre Ward. I don't know what he said there, but Josh Taylor was very upset about that. So it is what it is, man. YG, what's happening? Yo, yo, YG.
Yeah, what's going on, Dan? What's going on, peoples? I'm here.
Yeah, yo, what's happening? What's
You can
happening,
hear
man?
me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. Loud and clear.
Yeah, chilling, man. I just seen you. What you call them? Waiting for these games to come on later. We got a little bit of NBA. I know you was chatting about boxing, but
Yeah, that's cool. That's
other than
cool. I
that,
mean, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, a little surprised that the Utah Jazz lost yesterday to Denver. I thought they had that series on lock, but close. It was a very good series. You know.
yeah, that came down to a wire. That was good. That's almost what I expected to see. That come down to the final shot.
Yeah, it's true. Now you got the Jazz going up against the Lakers, and then you got the. I mean, actually, no, you got the Nuggets going up. Yeah, going
Clippers,
up against the Clippers, and then you got the Lakers going up against the winner of the Rockets,
the winner.
Rockets and the Thunder tonight.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's a very good playoffs, man. Very competitive. It seems like the teams play a lot better when there's no crowds, especially road teams. Supposedly, you know. you know.
well, uh, I don't know. I won't say a lot better. I got to look at the numbers. I don't think the scoring has been way higher
Yeah.
because even though those yeah.
Yo, what happened to YG? You there? All right, we'll get back to YG here.
But that was definitely.
What's up?
I said I think those high scoring games that the Jazz and Denver had. I think those games that went down like that with crowds too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens here, but my bet's on the Clippers to win the whole damn thing. I don't think Toronto's going to get past Boston based on what's happening right now with that series, but we'll see. I mean, you can't count Toronto out, but we'll get back to that later. But hey, I will say what's up to Ahmed. I see Zone is in the chat here too. So what's up, Ahmed? I get what's up, Zone?
What up? What up? Can you hear me?
What up? Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Okay, just
Time
give
no
mic
here,
check
man.
too. Mic check.
All right, cool. All right, cool. Hey, yeah. Well, let's talk about the meat of the topic here. The Zone is refusing to pay Canelo's guaranteed purse, man. And they're seeing what I mean here. The word, the grapevine. I haven't been able to confirm this yet. Is that they're even rejecting the Billy Joe Saunders and Cal Smith fight. But somebody, I think the Boxing Voices reported they want him to go ahead and try to make a deal with Floyd Mayweather if he wants to be paid out his purse. I mean, I find that very
What?
funny because first of all,
That's
Floyd is
not true. I
retired.
don't think.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. But if
I
that's
don't think that's
true,
true though.
yeah, I agree because if even if it's true, Floyd Mayweather will decide that. Okay, he'll fight unless he'll the fight will happen until he says so. But other than that, but either that, I can only confirm this though, is that I think they're willing to pay for the willing to give him the fights with Saunders or Cal Smith, but will not pay him their $35 million guarantee purse. Now, they said the reason behind that is because they're not upset with Canelo himself. They're upset with Golden Boy as a promoter because they haven't fulfilled their expectations. Well, I feel that's kind of odd because why aren't they sharing that same criticism with Gennady Golovkin? Because Golovkin, they gave him $100 million and he's only had two fights against a one nobody who nobody gave a fuck about. But he had a fight with Derevchenko, which that was a mandatory fight. That was a fight he had to take if he wanted the title. So
But
other than
even
that,
even that fight, that was a good fight. But I don't think that made back the money. Like I think they wasted money on Golovkin. If I'm being honest, unless they were, or how do I put it? Unless they were guaranteed to make that Golovkin Canelo fight in the first or second year, whatever they signed both guys, they're gonna lose money. It looks like now.
Oh yeah,
I don't
they
know.
are.
I don't think it's a good. I don't think it was a good deal to offer Golovkin. What they should have done is what they did to Waldo. What they offered Waldo is a straight package. Like, come and fight AJ. I think is one mandatory defense, and then fight AJ the 2 fight deal.
Right.
I think they messed up. They messed up with Canelo as well. They offered him that much money, like because Canelo's. It looks like he's choosing who he wants to fight.
Exactly. That's what it is. I mean, I guess that's part of the contract they gave Canelo. It's kind of like that Hulk Hogan WCW type of deal. I get to dictate the my opponents. I get to dictate the outcome, which is the AKA create a control clause. At the time, that was unusual for a wrestler to get that in this contract. I guess because he was Hulk Hogan, he was a big draw in the box office, and yeah, that was understandable. But to some degree, other than that, you give Canelo the leeway to fight who he wants to fight, and you give him $35 million. That's a mistake.
But
That's a mistake.
I'm just gonna say, Hogan did probably have the pay per view to help him out though as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He had the pay-per-view
All
buys.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Canelo's hasn't got the option of the like obviously because the zone are not doing pay per views, but it looks like they're gonna end up doing pay per views. I got a feeling.
Oh, they will. They have to because they're in a financial dire situation right now to the point that they're even asking for additional $1 billion of funding from a investor. So uh, that tells me that I mean this is not the first time they've done this. They have to do this like what 2 years in a row where they've been asking for they've been asking to secure additional funding. This is 2 years in a row. To me, if I'm an investor, I'm going to look at that and say, well, what's going on here? I mean, and to be fair, they're a private company, so they don't have to provide a balance sheet. But other than that, it still kind of seems pretty weird that they need to ask they for 2 years in a row they need to secure funding that's close to $1 billion. I don't I don't quite understand what's going on
But
there. I mean,
who's responsible then? Like the Mikey Garcia deal was that on Eddie Hearn or was that on DAZN? Because
I think
they
go
they
ahead.
overpaid that guy. They overpaid him
Oh
way too
yeah.
much.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's be real. I think that was it. I think it was a bit of both. I think Eddie Hearn was the one who offered the deal, and he needed to get the zone's approval to sign off on it. But my problem is with that situation. To your point, is that why was that a one fight deal? Why wasn't that a multi fight deal?
Yeah, that was a waste of money.
That was a waste of money. Now Mikey Garcia's gone his separate ways. He's not signed on to a multi fight deal with the zone. So I don't. I mean, at least with Al Heyman, you could criticize Al Heyman as much as you want. Anybody can, and rightfully so. But at least with Mikey Garcia, he was able to get Mikey Garcia to sign a multi-fight deal. He
I
got
don't.
something that
Yeah, I don't think Heyman has made as many mistakes. I think Eddie Hearn in America, obviously, he's tried taking too much on, and let's be real, he thinks he's big over there, but he's really a nobody in America. I think with Heyman, the only thing is the 500 million whatever. Like I thought that was it was crazy how that money went, and then you got another deal. I don't know. Heyman is a bit what's the word? Like no one knows like the guy like because.
he's a very crafty guy. He's a very
Oh,
smart.
we haven't heard him speak on camera, stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
people do know him, but not as many people mainstream know him. But I think with Eddie Hearn, I don't know. I personally think he made a lot of bad mistakes. A lot of the cards he's put on have not been good as well. So I think that could have been a reason why they've lost money as well. Because a lot of those fights have been. I'm not too sure if he's put on that many good fights, if I'm being honest, especially
yeah,
in America.
right. I hear you, man. But let me ask you guys a question individually. I'm gonna start with you, Hamed, and I'm gonna go ask YG. So, do you think, based off what's going on here, and again, it seems like Canelo is not going to fight for the remainder of the year, and that's sad. He hasn't fought the whole year. I know COVID hit. That's no one's fault, but it's kind of like put things on hold. But at the same time, the zone is giving him option to fight, but they want him to take a 50% pay cut, and he's refusing to do that. And now, since he's refusing to do that, it seems like this whole situation is going to go to legal, and he's not going to fight for the remainder of the year, from the looks. So if that's the case, should he and Golden Boy find a way to get out of there, find a legal loophole to get out of that contract with the zone and can go somewhere else where they be able to put on cards and be able to pay with their where they're guaranteed?
I think I read that is a possibility because I think as Mark Coppin just said, they're both standing firm on their stand. So what I remember about that deal was it was it was a deal for over 300 or whatever 65 million, but it was like he was getting paid per fight. He wasn't paid all at the beginning like a guarantee. If you get what I'm saying, it's like a pay per fight. But if there's some sort of legal procedure where they could get out of it, then I think they'll probably want to get out of it, and the zone will probably won't want to deal with him as well because at the moment it looks like the zone are not happy with him. I personally don't think they'll make back as much money if they want, unless it's from one Golovkin fight. But even now, we don't know how long they gotta wait because of the pandemic and COVID. So I think that's a possibility. Canelo could probably, if he could get out the deal, he'd probably want to get out the deal, and I think they'd probably want to go somewhere else. I mean, ESPN is still around. You got other networks where they could sign a deal with. The only thing is, it depends
Yeah.
what's in the contract.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Now the question is, and I've stated this too. If Canelo and Golden Boy are successful getting out of their contract with the zone, where could they land? Now, you said ESPN, but I think ESPN has an exclusive contract with Top Ranks. I don't think that's viable. So the only option is yes, which owns Showtime. So, and I don't think Heyman has an
Ooh.
exclusive right to Fox either. So they could go either direction, Fox or Showtime. So
I think they should have signed at Showtime. You know
yeah,
when he left HBO, I know
yeah,
Steven Espinosa's with I know Steven Espinosa is the head of Showtime Boxing, but he also signed Canelo back in 20. I can't remember the
13.
year. I
It was
think it's 20.
2013.
Oh, yeah, after the Mayweather fight, then after that he had a deal to fight Lara, and I think it was Angulo.
Oh, Glue, yeah. And then after that, they
So,
went to HBO after that.
oh yeah,
Oscar,
they went back. They went back to fight. I think it's Cotto on HBO, and I think it's
right?
Kirkland. So I personally think that would have been a good deal because I think Showtime would have had the option to put some of his fights on pay per view as well. But at the same time, the zone do have a lot of the middleweights. But
Well, the problem
uh,
with that situation, they
yeah,
haven't fought each other. So,
that's another thing.
I mean, how that's another. But this is another situation that I have to point out that's fucked up. Is that you have all the middleweights and they're not fighting each other. Golovkin's refusing to fight Andrade. He supposedly wants the Canelo fight. That's all he cares about. And you got Canelo who says, I'll fight whoever I want to fight." So you can't get him to.
Andrade,
Yeah,
Andrade and Jacobs do want to fight as well.
yeah.
Like they're
Jay don't
fighting.
want to fight each other. Jacobs has moved up to super weight. He can't make middleweight anymore from the looks of it.
Yeah.
So it's like
Billy
this whole
Joe, Billy
it
Joe,
built.
and Callum Smith, they couldn't fight. Yeah, it's messed up. It's messed up.
It's a messed up situation. It's like Billy Joe. We don't know what Billy Joe's going to do. He might retire from the looks of it. He doesn't care about the sport anymore. So it's like you have all those
Uh,
middleweights, and
I think the zone should just ship Eddie Hearn. I think they've wasted money. I'm not hating the guy, but I personally think he's gonna mess them up because he's already got a deal with Sky that comes to an end later this year. I
yeah,
personally think he's just trying to get the zone to come over to the UK, and he's gonna try and make the zone. And in America, I don't think he cares about the long run. He's just in it
yeah,
for the short term. I
yeah,
think they're gonna lose money. I personally think to be fair to the zone, they tried doing their best to make the Wilder Joshua fight.
right,
I do. I think go back now. I did always think Wilder was responsible for a long time, but I think there's things that Eddie Hearn did could have done to make that fight as well, which I think he put.
yeah.
I think they both deserve blame. Basically,
Oh
what
yeah,
I'm trying to say,
yeah,
and
exactly. That's
he
always
didn't
been my
help.
point. I agree, and this has always been my point. And look, even though I favor Wilder, but at the same time, I've always said that both parties need to be responsible for why that fight didn't happen. And yet people criticize me and say, "You need to take a side, Dan. You need to take a side." I'm like, "What?" Yes, I'm on Wilder's side, but at the same time, he kind of fucked up on that deal too. And so did
Yeah,
Joshua. So did her. They both did. Even Joshua came out and said on an interview with the Breakfast Club out here in the United States with Charlemagne and Angela Yee and DJ and Envy and those guys, right? He said himself that look, me and Wilder both won that fight, and there were some terms that he didn't want to agree to. There's some terms I didn't want to agree to. So we both had to be responsible for why that fight didn't happen. Joshua said that himself. I can give you the
Yeah,
clip.
yeah, I remember. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
If two guys want to fight, like Wilder and Fury wanted to fight, and Joshua and Klitschko wanted to fight, I think the fight gets done. I do blame Wilder more because I think what's the word? He turned down the more offers, but at the same time, if Eddie Hearn and them really wanted the fight, they would have made it. Like what I'm seeing now, what they're doing with Tyson Fury and Joshua is what they were, to a degree, trying to do with Wilder. Remember, they kept bringing up Dylan White's name, and
yeah,
that's what they're doing now. And supposedly, White and Povetkin are going to fight in November. So
yeah.
I don't know if Eddie Hearn's got any, what's the word?
Leverage.
No intention of making that Fury Joshua fight as soon as
Yeah,
possible. Because if you listen to his interview, he was just more upset for Dylan White. And I don't know. I think he wants to try and basically wants to try and save money because if Joshua and Fury fight,
then
that's a
Joshua could
fight.
more likely lose that fight, and his cash cow goes down the
But
drain
he's gonna
once
have
again.
to split. He's gonna have to split a lot of the revenue with Frank Warren and BT Sports.
And
With
he doesn't want to do. Yeah, he doesn't
yeah,
want to
that's
do
the
that.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
the
that's
thing.
what. Yeah, I think that's what he doesn't want to do because for years, traditionally, I guess on your guys' shore, you never had a joint pay-per-view before. It's been done here in the States a few
Oh yeah,
times,
yeah. It's never
and you
been
got
done here.
it's never been done there. And if you do it over there, that means you got to split the revenue. And of course, everybody's greedy these days. Nobody wants to do that, and it hasn't been done in the UK. So why should the UK do that now? And yet, why should we do that? And we've been successful in this whole model. But other than that, I think for the most part, and I've stated that any chance of that fight coming off for an undisputed clash, it's far from happening because neither side has made an offer to each other. Like at least with Wilder, at least with Joshua, they've all sent offers to each other. They counter offered each other. They've done that at least. But Joshua and Fury hasn't even done that yet. They haven't
I
done
don't
it.
think, but I don't think they could do that because he's got to fight Pulev and beat him, and we still don't know when that fight is. And then
Oh no, they can still do it because Joshua was still doing that when he had mandatories coming up. He was
oh,
still saying,
I get what you're saying, but I'm saying from both. Looking at it from both parties, I don't know what's up with Fury and Wilder because I don't know if that fight's gonna happen this year or next year. I personally don't think that would be a good idea to start sending out contracts at the moment. I reckon they should try and just at least make sure they can both fight this year and get their fight out the way because
yeah,
Josh
yeah,
has already been knocked out as well, didn't he? Like
yeah,
if he
yeah. I agree with that. But my point is that if anybody's hoping that undisputed fight will happen as soon as possible, that's not reality. It's not going to happen as soon as possible. They haven't even gone to step one yet. So what I'm
yeah,
saying is that that fight is far from happening at this point. Far from happening. They
well
haven't even.
Usyk has also said that he wants to fight, so they're gonna have to. I don't think they're gonna fight Usyk. I got a
I
feeling
don't
what
think
they
so either. I agree. I agree. I
Dubois,
think
they're gonna make Dubois and Usyk because I think they don't wanna. I don't think they want to risk that fight.
not right now. Especially look as I pointed out early in this live stream. I said, you know what? As much as I've given Anthony Joshua criticism, but I understand what he's been through, what he's coming from. Because look at his level of opposition in a handful of fights.
Yeah,
He's gone after dangerous opponent after dangerous opponent after dangerous opponent after dangerous opponent. And then if he gets past Pulev, I still believe Pulev is a dangerous fighter. Believe it or not, I believe he is. And if he has a tough fight with Pulev, and I expect him to get through that fight, then you expect him to go in another fight with Usyk, who's another dangerous opponent himself. So I I can see where Joshua would hurt. Say, you know what? Let's vacate the belt because you don't need that type of stress right now. Losing was one thing that was stressful enough that you lost to a guy that nobody expected you to lose, who I felt was dangerous either way. You know,
yeah,
so
but it depends. It
Andrew,
depends what he did. If they, I think if they fight Dylan White instead of Fury and Usyk, and it's for like a WBC franchise or whatever the hell, the regular belt. To me, that's a cherry pick because White has just been knocked out, and even if White beats Povetkin, I personally don't think, unless Dylan White goes on to beat someone like Tyson Fury, I don't think he's warranted of a fight with Joshua. It depends what they
nah,
do. I do understand that Usyk is a dangerous fight, but like I know Pulev is not an easy fight. Like I've seen a lot of people say that's an easy fight. I personally wouldn't say it's an easy fight, but I don't think it's as dangerous as a fight with say some of the other guys he's fought, like guys like Povetkin, guys like Klitschko. So I think he deserves to have this mandatory defense. After that, I don't know if he could afford to have a layup though. If he wants to go for undisputed, the fight after next might be his best chance, unless he wants to try and hold on to his WBO belt.
Yeah, I personally want him to do it, hold on to that belt. But if it's really to the point that you can't, if you don't want to create that much stress or that much anxiety, like Joshua is known to suffer from anxiety attacks, then vacate the
Yeah,
belt, man. You don't need that
yeah, but
type of
then
anxiety.
what do you do though? Do you fight Fury for? Let's be real. Those alphabet belts don't determine who's number one and two. Like I know
Oh,
undisputed is meant to be. There is a scenario where you could have all the belts and it's still not the number one guy. Like you know that. Like if Golovkin fought Canelo, not Canelo,
yeah,
Billy Saunders a couple of years ago. My point is this: that doesn't really having all the belts doesn't mean is the be all and end all. Like we know the number one and two guy is Joshua and Fury, so
yeah.
I think it's better off if we just see those two guys fight. And as long as Tyson Fury's got a belt, like because I think it'd be probably worse if Fury dumped his belt and then Joshua is making a mandatory defense. Like they're fighting for Joshua's belts. It'll be a unification. They're both champions, and if Joshua has to vacate one of his belts, and I'm not going to hold it to him. But I don't know if he doesn't fight Usyk or Fury, and he fights someone like Dylan White.
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
think it's a good look.
it may not be a good look because, yeah, as you point out, White just got knocked out badly to the point that he may not be the same fighter after that knockout in terms of his punch resistance.
Yeah,
So, I mean, at the same time, I could understand that Joshua may need a soft touch up because he's gone after dangerous opponent after dangerous opponent after dangerous opponent. I mean, I lost count, and I'm just saying it as a Wilder fan. That's a fact. I think he does deserve to break a little bit of a break and say, you know what, let me get an easy touch up once in a while. Can
Would
I
you
do that
say
at
the
least?
Ruiz? Would you say? Sorry, I was just kidding. Would you say Ruiz rematch was an easy touch though?
No, it wasn't easy. I don't give a
No,
damn
in
what anybody
terms,
said.
not
Yeah,
no no not on paper, but in terms of how the fight played out, because Ruiz was like way overweight. He was almost was it 300 pounds? And
yeah,
I know Joshua got hurt in one of the rounds, and it was far from a masterclass. But Joshua won, I thought, about 10 rounds easy in that fight, and
yeah.
it was like a sparring session.
Yeah, you pretty much you got a good point because he didn't suffer any damage in that fight. So
Yeah,
not that much damage like he did in the first fight. Obviously, he took a beat in the first fight, but yeah, second fight, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from in that situation. So yeah, maybe you're right. So if he goes into pull that fight with no damage, little to no damage, okay, then you really don't need a soft touch. Then why do you need a soft touch? Your last two fights, you kind of left unscathed. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. It depends how the Pulev fight is.
Yeah, plus he's recovered from an injury too. So let's see how he performs on that. It's an ankle injury, so let's hope it doesn't affect his mobility. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do though, because I personally think Usyk. If they don't fight Usyk, then it'll be Usyk and Dubois. But I don't know if will Frank one-on-one put Dubois in with Usyk.
I don't think
That's
Bawaz
a
ready for that fight. I'm
yeah,
being
that's a
honest.
big jump.
That's a huge jump. I mean, I guess they're probably confident given the fact that Usyk performed pretty bad against Chaz Witherspoon, a guy who hasn't been in the ring for what 4 years at that time, or 5, 6, 7 years. And Usyk, I was getting touched up against this guy. So, I mean, maybe they're
Yeah,
basing it off that. But at the same time, I don't think Dubois may not be ready for that fight. I don't think he will. And look, Jalik is to the chat saying that Dubois might get KO by slow poke Joe. Yeah, he could get knocked out by Joe Joyce, man. He
oh,
could be knocked out.
that's a possibility. We need to see how that fight plays out. I think I'm looking at the rankings, and if it's not Dubois, then it's Park and Usyk. I think
Right.
Matchroom would be happy with that because that's an in-house fight for the vacant belt. If they do decide to vacate it.
Yeah, I think that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna vacate it and make it an in-house fight between their two fighters, and then eventually have one of them fight Joshua down the road. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think that's what's gonna happen. So, from the looks of it,
What
yeah.
about what about Usyk and Chisora? Do you reckon that's a competitive fight or not? Because Usyk has been very
Uh,
inactive.
yeah, he has a solicitor to be fair. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Derek has surprised us. We'll see. I mean, he's surprised us before. Maybe he could do it again, but on paper, Usyk is supposed to, is supposed to give him a very difficult time because Derek does not. He has very difficult time fighting guys who moves and gives him angles. We know that. That's evident.
Yeah.
Um, but we'll see. We'll see.
If
You will see
Chisora
my.
wins, I was just gonna say, if
Go ahead.
Chisora wins, I don't think it'll be a good look. Like I mean, for the landscape of the division, because then Chisora and Joshua,
Oh
I don't know how
man,
you could sell that fight.
I don't know how you can sell that fight. I mean, somebody's gonna get knocked out. That's the least you could say. But
I
will
don't think
Joshua?
Chisora
I
will.
would
I
Joshua
mean,
think
obviously he's
that.
got a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
He's, I think, way
But what?
past. Like he's been beaten up so many times. Like, against Usyk, he's got a chance because Usyk is not like how do I put it, a real heavyweight and has had one fight and he's been very inactive. He's been injured. I mean, he's got a chance. Obviously, a puncher's chance. Anyone has against Joshua, but I don't know how you sell that on paper. But a guy with 9 losses against Joshua when Fury's already beaten him twice, like I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a tough sell, I think.
That is definitely a tough sell. I mean, unless he get. I mean, if he does beat Usyk, and then I mean, it is a tough sell. I mean, yeah, especially if you put that on pay per view. I mean, Chisora is a very popular fighter over there, so I guess you guys can still sell that either way. But I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. But the question is, will Joshua be able to go for knockouts like he did before? Because after that Ruiz fight, I'm not sure he'll be relying on that. He'll be relying on boxing ability going forward, in my view. Which is be the smart thing for him to do. Uh, you will see my channel says that Dubois has a better amateur background than Usyk. Um,
What
I don't know
Dubois?
about that.
Usyk won a gold medal. Dubois, I don't even think has an amateur background.
I don't think he has that deep amateur background. I'll go and check, but nah, I don't think so.
Usyk's got a gold medal. I don't know if you talk about a heavyweight, but Usyk was a heavyweight beating guys like Joe Joyce. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I
He,
don't think Dubois has even had more than 8 fights at amateur. I don't know if that's true, but I'm pretty sure the guy turned professional at a very young age, like 19, and he didn't really have a lot extensive amateur background.
yeah, he didn't have it. No, he only had five amateur fights, and he's lost three of those amateur fights out of those five. So I don't know where you got that from. Your channel. I just checked it up.
Yeah, I thought he had less than 10 fights. I remember someone was saying as an amateur he didn't.
Well, to be fair though, even though he's lost three of those five amateur fights, he hasn't been knocked out of those fights. So,
But it's not
yeah,
a like Usyk's a season that I
yeah,
don't even think Usyk turned pro until he was almost 30. Like
yeah. He's a seasoned fighter. He's fought in the World Series of Boxing. Some people call that a more of a entry level pro level fight, competition. But even though that's considered the amateur ranks, but other than that, yeah, Usyk's been around for a long time, man.
oh,
Very long time.
Was Usyk in the 2012 Olympics, isn't it? Not
Yeah,
2016. All
yeah,
right, all right.
2012.
So
Yeah, 2012. Yeah,
he's
2012.
about what is he 33 almost now? I think or 34. It's something like that. I don't know if
Yeah.
he's yeah. All right. So he was probably in his late 20s when he turned pro, but even then, that just shows he was amateur for a long time. I was gonna say I don't know what's going on with Fury and Wilder that third fight.
Well,
Like
I think yeah. Let me comment on that real quickly. The fight's already locked in. The terms has been met. They're good to go. But the only thing they're waiting on is the gate. Because again, they're guaranteed purses, as I talked about here. I think Fury Wilder is supposed to be making 20 plus million for their rematch. The only way to pay for those purses is that you got to get the live gate to help pay for those purses. So that's what they're waiting on, and Bob Aaron's trying to put that fight in the stadium fight in Vegas, where the Raiders are supposed to be playing, to help make up for that for their purses. So that's what they're waiting on. They're waiting for the live gates to come back, and
what
they're
about if
anticipating.
you what about if you hold in Australia, so like a different country? Can you make as much money back or not, or does it depend?
It depends on the tax, on the taxes that they have to pay out, and I think there's also a probate they have to go through. It's a very very lengthy and and complex process when it comes to paying out purses in other countries. So I mean, Bob Aaron was asked about this too in a way where okay, if you can't get the fight in December, how realistic can we get the fight? I mean, well, if you're saying February, but how realistic can we get the fight this year if we can't get the gate? He said, well, in that case, then I'm going to go back to Fury and Wilder and say, hey, look. We can't get the gate, but what we can do is I can go somewhere else. So I can find a place where we can host a fight where we get a site fee, which
Oh
means
yeah,
which means they don't have to rely on the gate to make the revenue like Hearn did with Joshua and Ruiz in Saudi Arabia. So that would be the next step. So I guess to your point, Australia probably won't be feasible. Maybe somewhere like Saudi Arabia where they're not being hit economically bad would be a good place. Or the like the United Emirates, like for
mm,
example the UAE, like
yeah,
Dubai somewhere. I think that'd be a good site to host a fight in Dubai.
yeah. The reason I said Australia because the Jeff Horn and Tim Tszyu fight, that had a crowd, but then again, what you said and what I remember Frank Warren saying it the other day after the Dubois fight, they don't specifically need a crowd. If someone's paying a site fee, how does that work though? How does the stadium get the money back if you pay for the site fee? Because that's a lot of money you got to pay for one fight.
Exactly, site fee. I think the way that works. Let me look it up here. I think the way it works is the site fees. I mean, they pay the site fee, and then I think the government gets involved in that, where they help. That it is a very complex situation. I don't know how. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna have to look
Yeah,
up on
but
this a
the
little bit
ticket
more.
sales must then go to the stadium. I think that's the only way you could work it out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think what it is that you pay for the site fee, but you don't get anything from the revenue,
Yeah,
ticket revenue.
because
Yeah.
otherwise, I don't know how they make the money back. Because the fight in Saudi Arabia, I'm pretty sure. How many people were there for the Joshua Ruiz? There must have been over 10,000 at least.
Not 10,000, but I mean, those tickets or packaging were very expensive though, so
No, no,
that's why
was it more than 10,000 people or less than 10,000?
I was less than 10,000. I can look it up right now.
I thought that looked like a big stadium they built. I thought it
That
was
stadium
probably.
wasn't big. It looked big from the outside, outside looking in, but that was a very small stadium.
Oh, not big as in some of the biggest stadiums, but it looked bigger than initially. What I thought they're just going to be fighting in like a really small. It depends how many people were in there, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now. The attendance was damn, what's the attendance? Shoot, it was all right. Is it here? The attendance was.
Should say on Wikipedia.
I'm gonna look it up right now. I was looking at BoxRec to see because usually BoxRec has the attendance. Viewership. My bad. Oh, yeah, can't even type. All right, doesn't say that here. Okay, let me look at another page. Uh,
Try Wikipedia? That should work.
oh, I did. It doesn't show up.
All right.
Okay. Well, actually, it's 15,000 that showed up for the fight.
That I thought it was at least over 10,000. I thought it's somewhere below 20,000. Yeah, I thought it was. That's decent, I'd say.
Yeah, 15,000 is decent. So I guess with the package, which was very expensive, as they say, with with the ticket packaging and all, I think the stadium, the organizers did make up their money for the fight, or made a little bit more. So because supposedly the seating was mainly for the elites. So
Yeah, oh, it was expensive. I'm pretty sure I looked at the ticket prices. It was very expensive. Some of those tickets. That fight, they paid a lot for that fight, though.
yeah, they
Uh,
did.
I'm not sure if, but that fight was in demand because of what happened in the first fight. I don't know about the Fury Wilder fight. I know it's a big fight, but after the second fight, as many people in demand of the fight. I
As
don't
much
know.
as it was in the first fight,
Yeah,
yeah. I guess
or second fight.
yeah, I agree with you to your extent because the way it played out. But of course, the controversy came in with Fury, along with the whole glove game, which we all should drop now. But also the fact that Fury's all this other shit came out about Fury with the whole wild boar situation where he paid off Carefoot to fabricate a story to get him to clear the UCAD, which is proven to be true. And then next, Carefoot, I had a feeling he got paid off, he got the money he wanted, then he dropped the charges and dropped the case against Fury all of a sudden. So I mean, and then Fury subsequently gives up his license because he knows he's not going to fight in the UK again based off this whole scandal.
Yeah. No, I'm
So
saying it depends on the. Yeah, in the UK and America, it probably still sell. But I'm saying in countries like the Middle East or I don't Australia. I think Australia might be a good place. I don't know, but then again about
Will they pay for
taxing
the
and stuff.
site? Yeah,
Yeah,
taxes and
that's
all that. Will they pay for the site fees over there? I mean, that's the thing.
because that Jeff Horn fight. That's like the first fight I've seen where there's a crowd, and that was in the stadium as well. That was a big
Yeah,
stadium as well. But
yeah.
it wasn't packed though. Obviously, it was like
That wasn't
a lot
packed
of
just
empty
because.
seats.
Yeah, it was a lot of empty seats. I think there were like 20,000 there, maybe if that 15.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lot then. I
That's
thought
still
it
a
was
lot of
less than
people though. Let me. That's still a lot of people though. But yeah, what's up, Haplo? Yeah. Let's see. Dalik says that Dubois is better amateur than Silver Medal Joe. Oh, that no. I think
that.
he's asking a
No,
question to somebody else, but nah, of course not, man.
I thought
Of
Joe
course.
Joyce got robbed in the against Tony Yoka. So he is essentially a gold medalist in the amateurs. I don't even know if Dubois reached the world championships. But then again, that doesn't really matter because Dubois was like a teenager in the amateurs.
Well, he
He's
only had
been a
5 fights. He's only had five
yeah
fights in the amateur, so he hasn't even gotten to the national level. So not even close. So yeah, he has a very little amateur background, and he's already had 15 pro fights already. So he's learning on the job. He's learned pretty quickly, and
yeah.
so it's kind of like Anthony Yard in one way, but at least Dubois is fighting better opponents than Yard.
I
Let's
think
see.
yeah. I said that as well a couple of weeks ago. I think Dubois is better. I was impressed with Yard against Kovalev in terms of how tough he was and his durability. But I think the lack of competition hurt him because he didn't really fight anyone until that fight, and you can't
That's
be doing
true,
that.
and the fact is that he put on so much muscle and weight going into fights, man. I know that's gonna be detrimental, especially with your conditioning and stamina. Because,
Oh,
dude, putting all that muscle is gonna hurt you condition wise. I think Yar got knocked out because of because of stamina. It's not because of the yes, he was getting hurt, but I don't think it was him being knocked out by Kovalev was the reason why he got knocked
yeah,
out.
I
It was the
agree. He
fact
was
that
exhausted.
he was exhausted. He had nothing left in the tank. He was just tired. He was gone. He was
I
tired.
think he's too big. As a light heavyweight, you can't be that big. He's got muscles on top of muscle. Like, I think if he was a cruiserweight, maybe he could get away with it because those guys are a lot bigger and slower. But
Yeah.
as a light heavyweight, you can't have that much muscle. Like, I don't think Dubois is that big. Dubois, what I mean by big, got that much muscle on him, like excess muscle. Dubois 6 foot, I believe 6 foot 4 or 5. So I don't think he's too big. Like Yard, I think needs to cut down on a lot of muscle, and he needs to probably either think about going up to 200, or if you want to say light heavyweight, then he needs to obviously cut down on the muscles. But what was I say with Dubois? I think we'll find out more how he fights, how he looks against Joe Joyce, because that's a fight I think we'll find out how good he is as well.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that domestic clash. So let's see how that goes. How that goes. But yeah, man. Hey, D Styles in the chat. What's up, D Style? And D Style was actually one of the first people to say that Kovalev, not Kovalev. I'm sorry. That Canelo, when it was first announced a couple of years ago, when Canelo signed on to the zone, he said himself this was going to be a huge mistake for Canelo, and a lot D Style got criticized for that. But hey, lo and behold, he's probably right now. So going on. So going back to the zone thing. Um, yeah, let's just hope this situation with them get resolved. But I mean, from the looks of it, they're not. They're you as you said, Ahmed. They're both sides are not budging for one another. They're not
Yeah,
compromising with one another. So it looks like they're gonna Golden Boy's gonna take this to court and try to find a legal loophole to get out of their contract. I
I'll
think
say
it'll pro.
this. I'll say
Oh,
this
sorry.
one thing regarding pay per view. If they put that fight between Joshua and Fury on, and it's pay per view for non-DAZN subscribers, I think you may be able to get away with that because I remember Box Nation for the first Golovkin Canelo fight. The people that didn't have Box Nation subscription, which I think is about £10 or £12 a month, I think they had to pay pay per view for it. So, which was I think you're paying like £20 when you could pay
Yeah,
£15 a month. If they do something like that, that's fair enough. But you can't charge people $100 a year, then pay per view on top, which is $60, $70.
well, that's a
That
good.
won't work.
Yeah, and you know what? That's not a bad idea. In fact, I even suggested that too. And I had, and Mr. Doc and myself had talked about this, and I said, you know what the zone should do? Introduce a pay-per-view platform, which is $40 for the fight for non-zone subscribers, right? For subscribers, who are paying the monthly subscription, they pay $10 for the fight for a premium fight, or $5-10, right? But if you have
Yeah,
the yearly subscription, you don't pay anything. You get the fight.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think because
I think that's fair.
then you'll get more people paying $100. I'd say put it out anywhere between $50 if you haven't got a subscription because at the moment the prices for like fights like Tyson and Jones are like
Yeah.
$60 so I don't know how the American pay-per-view market is
Well,
like
yeah, it's a very niche market. The thing is that people only pay for fights for only fighters who are like who are mainstream, like Mayweather, like a Canelo, like a Pacquiao, or a Mike Tyson. Obviously, those type of fighters. So whatnot. So, as you know, what this is something I suggested in the beginning, and people got on my case about this. Say you hating on the zone, Dan. You fucking stupid. Why would you pay $75 for a fight in the United States? You guys are getting robbed. This is I think it was Edge Note was saying this shit to me, and I'm like, well, hey, look, the fight's worth my money. I'll pay for it. So what's the fucking problem? I'll
oh
pay
it
for it.
depends on the fight yeah
It depends on the fight. Exactly. I paid for the Wilder Fury first fight and the second fight too. I paid for the first fight, and I definitely got my money's worth for that first fight. So let's be real, okay?
I was telling people about the first fight I was even saying that obviously Fury fought no one going into the fight. On paper, it looked like Fury wasn't ready, but if you
Yeah.
just look at resume, his capability, obviously how skilled he was. Outside Joshua, he was the best heavyweight to give Wilder problems. So I didn't have any problem with the first fight being on pay per view.
Yeah.
Obviously, the second fight was clear. That was a big enough
Okay.
joint pay per view. So it's good. But I'll say this with ESPN, I think they have done a really good job. They have tried to stay away from the pay per view market. They've only put one pay per view on, which was Crawford and
Con.
Khan, which I think they were trying to do to see how big of a draw Crawford could become before he fights Spence. But like what they did with Lomachenko and Lopez, I think that's good. Like they're not putting it on pay per view, and they obviously put Wilder and Fury, which is a joint pay per view. I think there's too many pay per views at the moment. Like some of those PBC pay per views, I personally think they should not be putting on pay per view. But obviously, right now without the crowd. I think that's the only way they probably think they could make their money back.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I don't think the numbers will be good.
I don't think so either, to be honest with you. I don't either. But I expect them to take a loss on both the Charlo pay per views and the Charlo double pay per view and the Tank Davis pay per view fight. So
Charlo card's good though. If I was in America, I would probably think about paying for that. Like that's a card
oh,
that
I'll
I
pay for
look.
that one. Oh, I agree. I'll pay for that one. But I'm not.
That's worth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's worth it. But I'm not sure about the Tank Davis one because look who
Oh
he's
no,
fighting. Leo
that's
Santa
not.
Cruz. I mean, they're hoping for Santa Cruz's crowd and his supporters to help back that pay per view because Santa Cruz does have a pretty nice following here in California. But
Yeah.
he's not. He doesn't. He's not on the level of a De La Hoya or a Canelo. He's not on
Yeah,
that level.
he's not a big draw.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what about Spence and Danny Garcia? I think that might be a risky fight as well because you got to think about a lot of these people views are only a couple of weeks apart from each other.
Oh yeah. I don't. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they're like within a short time span with each other, and people don't have. To your point, I think because they're banking on the fact that people are not there's no live gate, so I guess they're looking at it and say, okay, people were uh
70
spending
is it?
70 like over what's the average ticket price? Like over $100 a ticket price, or
Yeah.
maybe $120. So why don't we
No,
just put it
average is
by average
probably.
by
Oh, it depends
150?
on the fight. I think
Yeah,
you'll have to look at the fight too.
right. But yeah, depending on the fight, by 100, maybe 150. Let's put $150. That's probably the ballpark, right? So if you look at that, and people are staying at home, they're paying half of that. Might as well just put on the pay per view to see how it
Yeah.
goes. So I mean, yeah, we'll see how this plays out, man. But I see D Styles here in chat. And I know he's going to comment on the Canelo situation, which he was right about 2 years ago. So let him chop it up on this. D Style, what's happening, man?
Well, first of all, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Cool, cool, cool. Um, Look, obviously, as a boxing fan, I don't want the zone thing to fail. I mean, but as far as the Canelo situation goes, this is the way I see it. Okay, there's really no incentive for Canelo or Golden Boy to put Canelo in really tough fights when he's got a guaranteed amount of money he's going to make per fight. I mean, it's common sense, because you're going to get your guaranteed money, so you're not worried about what it's going to sell, how many people are going to actually get the app, and whereas if you're still in the pay-per-view model, you have to sell in order to make your money.
Right.
So, like the way I'm seeing it, I'm kind of glad that the zone is putting their foot down because they may just have a mutual breakup. And that's kind of what I'm predicting is going to happen.
Right.
Maybe not this fight, but I think they're going to reach a point where they're going to say, you know what? This is not working out. We're not getting the fights we wanted out of you, Canelo. But, even we could tear up the contract. You'll owe us no more fights, and you go do your own thing now. And I think that's what's going to happen, to be honest with you.
Well, you know what? I was saying something about this to be fair, though. Yes, you can critique his level of opposition, Canelo, that is, since he's onto the zone. Now, if you look at who he's fought, it's pretty better than most of the better than some of the guys that the other guys have fought. Like Gennady Golovkin, for example, he got $100 million deal. And who's he fought? He's fought two opponents. He's fought a guy that we didn't even know about, Steve Rose, coming out of Canada. Nobody gave a fuck about that fight. And then he fought Sergey Derevchenko, which was a mandatory fight, a fight he couldn't choose. That was something he had to fight if he wanted to get the title or even get a shot at Canelo again. But other than that, Golovkin is here sitting here trying to choose and pick his opponents. He's not trying to go through another tough fight unless it's a Canelo fight because he's trying to cash out. So why would the zone give Gennady Golovkin? Before I get to that point, why would the zone criticize Canelo Alvarez for his level of opposition because they felt they haven't gotten what they were expecting out of him or Golden Boy, by that matter, while they haven't criticized Gennady Golovkin for what he has done?
In fairness, I don't think the zone has put out a statement about this. This is what the Athletic is saying, isn't it?
Right. They haven't put out a statement, but what I'm saying is, if it's true based off what's going on, then why are they giving out this type of critique for Gennady Golovkin? Unless they probably have, but no one's asked about it.
I'm with you, and I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty certain that the big wigs at the zone do have critiques about these deals and the fact that they gave these guys these big contracts so they could do the third fight on their app. You know what I mean? That they want Gennady Golovkin against Canelo for whatever reason. That fight's very difficult to make right now. I get that the pandemic happened. So the way I see it, I think they feel like, look, Canelo, we already gave you a freebie with Rocky Fielding. You know what I mean?
Right.
The Jacobs fight, the Kovalev fight, I think they're pretty happy with those. But they just don't want another subpar fighter, Right. That's how I think they feel about it, personally. But at the end of the day, one has to ask themselves, the zone isn't in it for the love of boxing. Like, they're in it for profit. So they're looking for a return in their investment. Canelo's the one that's had more fights than Gennady Golovkin at this point. And to be honest with you, I don't think they feel like they're getting a return in their investment. Just look at the way they promoted themselves. They promoted themselves as the death of pay-per-view.
Right.
Like telling the fans, hey, don't worry, you don't got to buy pay-per-view anymore. I got you. You know what I mean? Yeah. We got you. We're going to give you pay-per-view level fights on our app. That's how they run. So they want Canelo Alvarez, premier pay-per-view fights on their app. And they have not been able to live up to their advertising. And they want to do that. And I think they're reaching a level of frustration with Canelo at this point.
Right.
And they're like, yo, dude, you got to work with us. Like, we're giving you all this money. You got to give us some good fights. And Golden Boy is the promoter, so they're in the middle of it. But I'm pretty sure they're looking at them side-eye too,
Right. Well, do you think
what's up, EJ?
What's up, EJ in the chat? But Hamed and I, what's going on, cuz? Yeah, EJ, I'm gonna bring you in for a second on this. But Hamed and I were suggesting this point. Maybe you agree to this. EJ, you could chime in too if you want. The zone, the only way they could kind of settle this and come to an agreement is that they're gonna have to give Canelo a pay-per-view structure where he can make his back end money on this, which he was used to for several years. Introduce a pay-per-view platform to do it the way you introduced it, which they should have done in the beginning, in my view. People call me crazy for saying this, given the level of money they were dishing out, which I knew they're going to take a huge loss on. So you introduce the pay-per-view platform from non-subscribers, right? If you're a non-subscriber, you pay $50 for the fight, a premium fight like Canelo versus let's say Canelo versus Golovkin 3 or Canelo versus Kovalev or Pacquiao versus Golovkin. I'm just giving you an example. You pay $50 if you're a non-subscriber. If you are a monthly subscriber, you pay $10 or $20 for the fight. If you're a yearly subscriber, you don't pay nothing for the fight because you already pay your subscription. So you think maybe they should go down that direction? You think that would be fair, and that would be something that Canelo could get in the back end?
Is that a question to me?
Well, any of you guys, D Style, and
shit, man. Yeah, all right. Well, nice one, D Styles. Appreciate it. Look, man, I'll be honest with you, bro. Look, the DAZN been roasting people like a peanut for a minute. So I'll be honest with you, yeah. They stealing people money, like, bro. Some of them fights could have been awful. At least HBO they hold you to task. But bro, right. Some of them fights in DAZN, they're horrible. Like some of the opponents, all they do is feast on the UK bombs. And Cinco de Mayo, one of the biggest fights in there. Half the DAZN, these guys been saying like more half the fans can't even buy DAZN. So how you gonna do big Cinco de Mayo? So all the Mexican fan base are missing out on their guy on the Mexican holidays. And then on top of that, the opponents, bro, like some of the opponents have been so questionable on that day. Since they've got the DAZN, awful. He's just eating the contract, making that money, not fighting the top-notch competitions. I don't know what the DAZN at this point, yeah. Like they're just desperate, like I mean, ratings and all these things there, all the sports and stuff. Like they've lost huge money, like a lot of money. I think them more than anything. I think ESPN and the other companies they're fine, but because the DAZN's fairly new and they was trying to take over, they realized this is biting them in the ass. And lucky for them, I mean, boy, they can just cut the contract and let Canelo go back to ESPN or let him go on Showtime. But like, boy, listen, charging people and then doing pay-per-view. Their whole thing was not to do pay-per-view. So and then they've backtracked. If they start doing pay-per-view, why am I gonna be pay-per-view when I can do an ESPN? So I think at this point they're in trouble. Frank Warren has said so as much. He said Eddie Hearn's contract with DAZN is gonna finish it soon. Apparently, I heard Joshua is making deals directly with Sky, not Eddie Hearn no more. You know what I mean?
What?
Yeah, that's heard that's today. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, heard that's today. So exactly, bro, it's not looking good for fast card Eddie. And like, you know, I mean, the zone really thing. Remember, they did MMA, football, whatever they did. It's not working, man. It's not working. So they're just losing money daily. Subscription. People want their money back. Why am I paying how much a month? Yeah, and I ain't getting what I want. Then furthermore, you're going to charge me pay-per-view? Hell no. I mean, Canelo's nice, yeah, but really his fan base, they have to subscribe to that thing. Then you're gonna charge us pay-per-view? Fuck that, man. Like, what kind of person does that? So all around it's this bad news. Go ahead, let someone else jump in.
I was gonna say you can't rely on Canelo for 2 fights a year, man. It may be not even that. Like this year, if Canelo does a fight, you can't rely on just Canelo. And the thing is, I know Canelo is not helped because last year I don't blame him. He didn't want to fight Triple G. They wanted to make that fight, but he already had fought the guy twice. Like, nowhere in his contract did they say you gotta fight him. I think they wasted money on signing a guy like Golovkin without the guarantee of the Canelo fight. I also think they overpaid a lot of the guys that Eddie Hearn has brought on. I think Eddie Hearn has killed a lot of the money off. Like, a lot of those cards, let's be real, they weren't good cards. If you take out the World Boxing Super Series and Canelo, I don't think DAZN has been value for your money. Like, but it depends. If people are paying for the odd few months and then unsubscribing, they probably get their money's worth. But if you're subscribed since it started for every month, I personally don't think a lot of people have been happy with the product.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, man. But let me just say this. I think to you guys' point, I think that we do looks of it. Canelo's not going to fight for the remainder of the year. It's sad too because he hasn't fought since 2019. He's almost going on 2 years now since he's fought, and this is going to be tied up in the legal process, which means is that it's kind of similar to the Andre Ward situation with Dan Goossen. where he was tired, where he couldn't fight because he was trying to get out of his contract with Goosen, and it took time because the fact that he was still under contract, which means he couldn't take on any of the fights until that situation was resolved. So it looks like Canelo could go down this direction too, unless the zone will be wise enough, as D-Style says, say, you know what, you us a couple more fights, get those fights out the way. You can fight whoever you want to fight, and then we'll let you out. But we're not paying you $35 million. I'm sure that's what they're going to tell him. We'll give you whatever fight you want, but we're not paying you $35 million, and you can get out of your contract.
But how much could we blame?
You know the trick. They do it. Go ahead.
I'll just say, how much can we blame Canelo if guys like Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith don't want to fight the guy? Like, they turned down fights with him.
That's
Caleb
true.
Plant, that was another one. I don't know. I think the zone. I think they've been a bit overcritical of Canelo. I don't think you could blame Canelo too much. I don't know if they've said anything, but what I've heard is they're not happy with him.
Well, they're not happy with him per se. They're unhappy with Golden Boy. So the issues with their beef is with their promoter, De La Hoya. They feel that De La Hoya hasn't lived up to his promises. He hasn't done anything to produce the results they were looking for, this, that, and the third, and the whole 9 yards. But at the same time, it is kind of like, well, you're blaming your promoter. You're kind of blaming me as a fighter because I'm the top draw of the promotion. I'm carrying that promotion as a fighter. You see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, look, I think Canelo needs to, if it's the case, I hope they do come to a resolution, but from the looks of it, they may not. Canelo needs to be let out of his contract. Let him go his own way, or Golden Boy. Let them go to Showtime where they can do some real matchmaking there. I know, as Ahmed argued, that, hey, but what some people argue, say, wait a minute, if you do that, then what about the middleweights that did the zone? Because that's where the middleweights are at. Well, yeah, the problem with that is that they're not fighting each other. So, I mean, what's the point signing onto the zone with a group of, a stack full of middleweights, and they're not fighting each other, and they're refusing to fight each other?
And I don't even know if he's coming back to middleweight. I know the Golovkin fight is a big fight, but I don't know. Like, if he's at super middleweight, on PBC you got Benavidez and Plant. So I don't know. Like, at middleweight, if he's not fighting at middleweight, then he doesn't really need to be on the zone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Look at D-Style. He says,
I want to show you guys. Just get rid of Templetep's comment there.
All right, I got you.
Like an hour ago. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So, like, this is, you guys can see this, right? This is the Zone app, right?
Yeah.
I just want to kind of show everybody something, man, okay? And why the app isn't working. So, in the United States of America, okay? This is the USA, okay? It kind of looks like it, right? This is United States, USA, right? In the USA, dude, all right? Like, all bullshit aside, about, not quite 50, but about 40% of America lives in rural America. Okay? So that...
What happened to D-Style? He was going through his physics now. I guess his computer probably blew out again. So, I was going. Yeah.
40% of the country.
His internet connection. There he is. Yo, D-Style, your internet connection is bad, man.
These watch the zone. What's that?
Okay. No, you're good now. You cut out and then you come back in. I think you had a bad internet connection. You were rebuffering. Oh, go ahead.
Well, there you go. Speaking of the bad connection, about another like 10% that are outside of rural.
Yo, D-Style, your connection's bad, bro. You may have to come back out and come back in, man.
I got here like racist.
Yeah, you doing the dial-up, brother.
Yeah, he was getting in, bro.
Yeah, he was going in. I guess somebody don't want him to go in now, but hey, D-Style, come back out and come back in, man.
Yo, yeah, he's still trying to fight. Yo, if you see the rankings, Daniel Dubois is ranked number 2 in the WBO. Like, you can see it. I've got it right in front of you.
Yeah, I see it.
Right, like, bro, like I don't even know what to say, bro. Like, how the heck?
That's what we were talking about.
Bro, that is ridiculous, bro. Like, look at Joseph Parker. I know he's lost, but he was the WBO champion there. I know he ain't fought no other guys, yeah. But bruv, okay, losing Dillian White's not that bad, yeah. But bruv, Kubit Pulev, I mean, above all them guys there. Come on, Derek. Come on, man. I don't even know how you got number 2. Frank's been paid. Frank's been paid. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like, this is what I'm trying. I told Blood and I told everyone, hype job, bro. I like Daniel Dubois. I met him a couple of times, bro.
Warren must own that organization.
It's a propaganda. The propaganda's bad, bruv. I mean, Joshua they never did that with Joshua. They like see Joshua. He kind of like he could have done European, so they gambled him with Charles Martin. They put some money on him. They brought Charles Martin over. They paid $5 million, whatever Charles Martin wanted, and they had the shot with the IBF because they knew him in the Olympia. Joshua said, "Well, he's not that good." Because end of the day, like, bro, and they took a gamble. They beat, and then Joshua became an IBF champion. But this one here, this is easy pickings right here, bro. Like, bro, like he's out of his depth, bro. Like, you know what I mean? If he was number 10, I say fair play, but bro, number 2, come on, bro.
That's way too high.
That is way too high.
You know, Frank's got a relationship with the WBO from the 90s, from Eubank Ben, Collins, and Joe Calzaghe, Prince Nassim Hamid. That's why with that Pacquiao guy. So, bro, he's obviously put some money down.
What's it called? The Warren Boxing Organization.
Yeah, you're funny, you know. That's true damage, you know. Because what it is, it's like it shows you the power that with WBO, but there's no. It's like Anthony Yard, bro. Anthony Yard had a fight with Kolev. Let's think about it. Who did he fight to get a shot at Kolev? Really? Tell me. What's up?
Nobody.
No one. So how did Anthony Yard deserve? He didn't fight no former world.
I think this is worse though. This is worse because you got guys who are world ranked in the top 10 or below.
Actually, I kind of disagree with that, Jaime, because at least Dubois fought a little bit better opposition than Yard did. He fought Kevin Johnson. Yes, he went to decision with him. He fought Nathan Gorman, which was a domestic clash that people were looking for. Yard didn't even go near that level. He didn't even fight his domestic rival.
I'm not talking about that, but who was Yard ahead of? Like, this guy's ahead of guys like Parker, Pulev, who are ranked in the top 10 of the...
Well, you know what? That's a good point.
Yard was number 1, though. Like, he was number 1 contender for the belt, bro. Like, no, I think a lot of people pulled out.
That was wrong as well. I agree.
I think a lot of people pulled out against Sergio Kolev, didn't want to fight him. I think other people got. I think they even.
Some people had different title shots. They went down different routes. I
think everyone pulled out, and I think they accepted it. That's what it was. I don't think it was number 1, but
because you got to remember, Ward vacated a lot of the belts. Bivol fought for a vacant belt. I think Beterbiev fought. They all fought for vacant belts. The only one was Gavozdik because Stevenson already had the belt today.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But hey, what's up, Jalik? Is in the chat, man? What's happening, man?
What's up, Dan? The man, what's popping? Hamed, assalamu alaikum. EJ, what's popping, man?
Yeah, Alex.
Man, Canelo.
What you say?
Canelo, listen, I've been saying this for a minute because Canelo, he does. I see it from both sides. Now, Canelo, I want him to get as much money as he can get. But from a business perspective, they're not receiving the money back. You know, so ROI, return on investment, they're not receiving it with Canelo. Canelo doesn't have the actual opponents there to really make it there. So they overplayed their hand trying to get people to sign with DAZN. They started with him, they started with Triple G. They kind of overplayed their hand in a sense. I get it because a lot of companies do that. They lose money and then they get their money back in the long run. But with Canelo's situation, it's like, what incentive does he have to really fight nobody if you just give him 35? So that was a no-no from the beginning. So when I seen that from the beginning, I was like, whoa. And I was looking at his opponents. Like, nobody want to see that fight against Triple G. Nobody want to see that. I mean, Triple G.
I think some people do want to see. I disagree.
But even if they did want to,
true. A lot of people want to watch that fight.
Nobody.
That's a big fight.
Triple G is done. He lost to He just lost.
Bro, like
he lost to.
I know people want to watch that fight, bro. Come on.
That's what you.
Canelo's fans want to see that fight. Golovkin's fans.
Out because why would they invest money in him and they can spend way less money and you got the young guys? No guy is bigger than the sport. Canelo is a good fighter, but his brand is off. You got to realize if you read between the hands, Canelo, Golden Boy made their money off of Canelo. So Golden Boy needs Canelo. So it's a terrible situation going on. Canelo don't even speak to Golden Boy. So what happens is he's just in a crazy situation. So they lied behind his back. They promised that he would fight Triple G, and he never said that. they're going to win in court. Trust me. DAZN going to win in court. With them lying about him fighting Triple G, they going to win and they just going to settle. It's going to be some NDA agreements.
Who is I don't get that.
Wait, hold on, hold on, man.
Wait.
How are they gonna win? How are they gonna win? I mean, is there anything that is there
right, bro? Oscar is getting a welfare check off of Canelo's name.
I get all that, but how is the zone gonna win based off? Is there anything in their contract that specifies that they can?
Because
they could discretionary tell you you're not getting your guaranteed amount of money as we promised you would get.
Whatchamacallit got 365 million. In addition to that, Golden Boy got 100 and some million. So Golden Boy off the works of Canelo got back end money. So
what back end money come from? Is the subscriber count? Is that what you're referring to?
By them signing with Canelo. Remember, Canelo got 365. In addition to Canelo getting 365, Golden Boy got a separate 100 and some million to put on Golden Boy fighters.
Well, Jalik, hold on. The 365 is a fight by fight basis. That he didn't get all that on one. Yeah, it's exactly. He didn't get that all in one slump. It's like per fight, and now they're coming back and telling him that we're going to reduce that by 50%. But
you got to. It's deeper than that because that's part of it. But also you got to look at Golden Boy as well. Golden Boy, if Golden Boy didn't have Canelo, they would be like Lou DiBella or Gary Shaw's level right now.
Yeah,
I agree with that. That's true.
It's true.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So
go ahead, Deez.
The situation like it's like double agents. And just to speak on Eddie Hearn, DAZN owns a portion of Eddie Hearn, Matchroom USA. So from a business, but you know what a double agent is? They work on both sides, so they base both parts of the game. So in a situation, Eddie Hearn is kind of like a double agent right now. He's a Matchroom guy, that's his company, but he's also works for DAZN. So it's kind of strange that Smith and Billy Joe turned the fight down. So what they're doing is they doing psychological tactics to basically collude against Canelo because they want Canelo to not win. Because you got to realize if Canelo doesn't win and they don't pay him, that's good for Eddie Hearn because Eddie Hearn is being paid by DAZN. So it's a lot of psychological tactics going on, and they're going to win because they got bread because they don't care. They're the way they carry themselves. Golden Boy ain't popping. I'm telling you, bro.
All right, well, go ahead, Isai. You want to respond to that?
Well, first, I will, but let me address this one first. So, look, I hear this one a lot, dude, but this whole like nobody wants to see the third Canelo Triple G fight, that's just not true. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there may be individuals that don't want to watch it, but that's just not true. Okay. First of all, their two fights sold more than Wilder Fury. That's number one. Okay, it sold more, therefore I have no evidence at all and that anyone could show me that no one had interest in the first two fights, and I have very little evidence that anyone could show me that nobody wants to see a third fight. Right now, would I like to see Canelo in other fights too? Of course, absolutely. You know, but trust me, people will.
He breaking up.
Yeah, you're working.
Lots at their fight. Now, secondly, regarding that point,
it was breaking up.
The zone is. Let me finish.
Nobody.
The zone.
Nobody can hear you. You got to start over.
I could do it now.
Go ahead, Isai. No, we can hear you now. Go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. Wow, I don't know what's going on with my connection. My connection's acting like the zone. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Man. Hey, make sure you keep your dog away from that router,
yeah,
bro.
the zone had a bad production, man.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like this. I have the zone running my stream. No, but I just don't see any evidence that no one wants to see a third fight. Now, even if no one wants to see a third fight, the zone is offering Canelo a lot of money to fight him a third time. So even if it's just the zone offering the money to do it, I don't see how they can use that against the zone, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? As far as, it going to court, that one's tricky, right? Because all contracts are a two-way street. So, the zone, all the zone has to prove is we were offering him money. But he didn't want any of the options we were offering, right? And to me, like if Canelo / Golden Boy doesn't have a good counter like argument to that, DAZN may very well win in court. Like it's definitely possible.
I see that. When you dealing with business, they appear certain ways and they put certain things out in the public, but behind the scenes, they probably Eddie Hearn is with Billy Joe and Andre, and they got him. So they, as far as Caleb Smith, they say, nah, don't sign it because he also works from there. So a double agent is like a undercover police officer in the drug game. It's a lot of double things. So what you got to read deeper between what's in the public, because the ultimate goal for any company is to gain profit. So if the zone isn't gaining profit, even Canelo was a popular fighter, their goal is to devalue Canelo so that way they can make him look. It happens in football all the time. If you notice, anytime a guy's contract is up, they'll find something hot on a fighter that secretly videotape him having some altercation to make sure his value is small. It's a dirty game. It's kind of sad. And Canelo as a whole, I'd rather it be the fighter gets the money than the promoters cheap the fighter. So I want Canelo to get as much money as he can, to be honest with you, because I hate to see fighters getting jerked with Don King and Chavez Sr. and all these guys just jerking the fighters. And look at the Top Rank. He's the king of jerking people and trying to win the PR battle. But at the end of the day, the zone, this is just the zone USA. The zone is bigger in other countries too. I really don't know who's going to win, but I'm just, it's kind of, they in a crazy situation.
Well, Julie, before I get, hold on, Desai,
I
real
just
quick.
wanted to make one quick point before I go. I got to go in a little bit, but
Okay, go ahead.
shout out to the Texan, by the way. But look, I am pro fighter 100% and all that, and I want fighters to make what they can. But here's what I'll say, dude. I also feel like once a fighter's getting overpaid, like by millions and millions, if you stop and you think about it, they're taking money from other fighters that could make some of that money, right? I'd rather 50 fighters make $1 million payday than one fighter take home $1 million.
Not me, bro.
Right.
I want them to get.
No. Well, look. I mean, if you're a pro fighter, right? Don't you want as many fighters as possible to make 6 or 7 figures, not just one dude?
I want them to all get paid because
not everybody can make 50 million.
Most of the cases, the fighters are getting jerked though. Fighters ain't really.
Why do you think that is?
That happens all the time. Like this been going on for hundreds of years where they cheat and it's still going on. Look at Bob Arum.
No, bro. But let me counter that a little bit.
It happens.
I agree that I want the majority of money in boxing to go to the fighters. I'm not disagreeing with that. But fighters, not a fighter, right? Like money is fight night, bro. There's only so much in the budget, right? I want the fighters to get a bigger cut of the entire budget because they're the ones putting in that blood, sweat, and tears. I'm sure you agree with that. Exactly. I want as many fighters to get their money. So if there's $100 million in the pot, right, and you can give 50 fighters $2 million paydays, right, instead of one fighter making all that money, I'd rather take the first option, where you have as many guys putting money in their pocket, putting food on their table, or roof over their head, and living a good life, right? Too many fighters are making a ridiculous amount of money, and then you have other guys just making a couple thousand a fight. Like, if I want as many guys as possible to be in the 6-7 figure range, so that's why I don't necessarily support when fighters get an excess amount. I want them to get their money. I want them to get paid, but not overpaid. That's just the way I feel.
What's the excess amount? Canelo making 35?
That's an excess amount if you're fighting Rocky Fielding.
That's an excess amount based on the zone making it. But if he gonna rob the bank, then let him. It's better to Canelo rob the bank than to see him do it. That's the zone fault. So the zone put themselves in that situation by overplaying their hand. It's not Canelo fault. If somebody gonna pay me super amounts, I'm gonna take it.
I'm not blaming Canelo at all. I'm not blaming the fighters at all. I'm just saying that the system overall would be better for the fans and the fighters overall, right? And what I'm proposing, more fighters are going to make millions, not just a handful of dudes.
I agree. Okay, I see what you're saying, D-Star. That's a good point.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, man.
I want to say something. Look, I get what both guys are saying. The thing is this: the last time someone had a big lucrative offer, a contract in boxing, not in combat sport, just in boxing, to my knowledge, was Mayweather when he signed with Showtime. I believe they lost money on the first fight with Guerrero because, come on, that was not a fight that a lot of people wanted to see. Obviously, you can't blame Mayweather. He came out of jail, whatever. But they made their money back in the second fight with Canelo. Now, they lost money again with the fight with Maidana, I believe, because that pay-per-view did under $1 million, I remember. But the fight with Pacquiao did so good that they made their money back. Now, with Canelo, we don't know. I don't know if I know they lost money with Kovalev, but I don't know if they made a lot of money with the Jacobs fight. I know they lost with the Rocky Fielder fight. One sec. But they need that Golovkin third fight. Now, when people say no one wants to see it, I don't think that's the right term. I think not many people want to pay for it, want to pay $80, $70. But if it's on the zone, on the app, I think a lot of people are tuning in. The thing is this, though. What other options has he got? I don't know. True. I don't know if Canelo can make the money back. That's one fight we took.
He doesn't have the opponents to say somebody like Ryan Garcia. People keep laughing at me, but I told people last year that Ryan Garcia is a better marketing money-wise as far as value for the zone because he's way.
Wait, hold on. Based on what?
I'm explaining it to you. You got to understand business. Y'all taking your personal feelings out of it.
I'm not taking it personal. I just want to know what evidence you have to.
You got to look at business. You got to look at opponents. I explained to y'all before.
Well, who's Ryan Garcia fought?
Let me explain it to you, Dan.
All right.
Let me ask you this. Is Oscar De La Hoya a better fighter than Roy Jones Jr.? Yes or no?
That's debatable.
Oh, is he a better fighter than Roy Jones Jr.? Yes or no?
In my mind, no, he's not.
Okay. But did he make way bigger pay-per-views than Roy Jones? Yes or no?
I get what you're saying.
Okay, because he had bigger opponents and he was all about marketing. So Ryan Garcia is a way better. You can market Ryan Garcia way better than you can Canelo because he's a better.
That's not a good example, though.
That's not a good example. It's a good point.
Bro, y'all not let me explain it. I'm just heating up. Just let me explain it to you. So if Oscar De La Hoya is Ryan Garcia, and you can market Oscar De La Hoya better than you can Roy Jones, and everybody know Roy Jones is better than him. Everybody know Canelo was better than Ryan Garcia, but however, you can pay Ryan Garcia less money and market it. So as a company for the zone, that's better for your marketing dollars and your overall company because you'll make more return on your investment and you spending less for advertising and marketing because Canelo, if that's part of your marketing budget, paying him $35 million, that's just a whole lot of money. So with Ryan Garcia, listen to his opponents. Oscar
Who could he fight though? Who could he fight? Do you feel
it down to you? He got way bigger opponents that he can fight.
Like who? No, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia is going to be happening. Mayo.
Wait, hold on, Jalik, hold on. How can you compare? Wait, hold on. How can you compare that on? Wait, Jalik, hold up. How can you compare that fight compared to Canelo versus Cotto?
That didn't hardly do that fight. I'm talking about y'all living in the past, bro.
They don't pass, bro. That's what he actually fought on pay-per-view, and that did nearly $1 million pay-per-view buys.
What fight? Canelo fight that's bigger than Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, right?
Canelo versus Cotto. Canelo, Golovkin, and Cotto.
That's trust me, it's not, bro. I'm telling you, it's not.
Cotto's done, but
you gotta realize once again, homeboy got that welfare check.
Wait. What? How can you?
And he don't want to fight nobody. He the only fighter in history that I seen that was.
Where you just said that Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis is a bigger fight than Canelo versus Golovkin. What?
Bet anybody? Yes, it is, bro. That fight is done. That was
Put it
too.
on pay-per-view. Let's see how well it does.
Yeah, exactly. Let's put it on pay-per-view, see how that does.
I'm telling you, listen, bro. I was at Tank last fight, and Ryan Garcia. Listen, bro. All right, y'all keep laughing. All right, bro. They're gonna.
Wait, hold up. If Ryan Garcia was on a resume level, Canelo Alvarez, and if Tank Davis was on a resume level, Gennady Golovkin, then I would believe that. But come on, dude.
Yo, Jalik, come on now, stop it.
Because you're not looking.
You know what? I want to go with Jalik and say, yeah, I want to believe it, but not right. Jalik, I want to ride with you. I'm not gonna lie to you because I believe in Tank and Ryan Garcia is a name, but bro, like not right now, bro. That's not. It's not.
Ryan hasn't done anything.
Hey, yo, EJ, Canelo is like the rapper that sell 10 million, but by his second or third CD, he's not as hot no more because.
Hold on. You have to, yeah, but hold on.
They're pay you all that money, just like 50. They got new box.
I know that, but you have to ask.
Game.
Jalik, you have to ask the Latin community, bro. If they got hot, like Texans here, these styles are left. You have to ask them if their boy's not hot no more. As far as I'm concerned, I've heard the Latino crowd saying their boy's not hot no more. They're saying their boy's still got it.
Listen, Garcia versus Tank, 1.5 million. That's a lot.
Based on what? Hold up. Wait. What championships has Ryan Garcia won?
Y'all gotta look at logistics and y'all just gotta understand the buzz.
Okay, Jalik. Oh, who is he beating? Just answer that question. Who is Ryan Garcia beat?
Doesn't matter. You gotta realize once you get to the past the diehards like us, it's casual fans. They don't give a fuck. They don't even know weight classes. Ryan Garcia be having people. He got the teeny boppers. He got the young girls, and you got Tank. I was at the fight. The dude is a star, bro.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Jalik. Let me ask. Be honest here. Let me ask you this question. I hear you.
Business standpoint.
I hear you. Let me ask you this question, and then be honest here.
Yeah.
When Floyd Mayweather beat Canelo Hernandez for his first world title back in 1999.
He wasn't pay-per-view, and that was
that's exactly. Now, would he have done a million pay-per-view buys after that? Beat Canelo Hernandez?
Because that was a whole new different time frame. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't have. And then he was with Top Rank. Top Rank wasn't really. He was just an HBO guy. They wasn't really promoting him. In '98, Oscar was more the guy.
I think he's talking about social media, but that
I'm just talking about.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Social media.
Listen, get texting on here. I don't want to take up all the time. I'm just telling y'all how the game
does not
work.
transcend.
I told y'all last year.
Wait, hold up, Jalik.
Cinco de Mayo was done, bro. It ain't no more Canelo.
Jalik, hold up. Go ahead, Ahmed.
Social media does not transcend into pay-per-view buys or viewership. One sec. Ryan Garcia needs a guy like Teofimo Lopez to beat Lomachenko, which will make Teofimo a big star. And then that fight down the line could be a big fight. At the moment, Devin Haney has a 4-10-1. Ryan Garcia is just popular on Instagram. I don't think any of these guys will do anything on pay-per-view or even marketing-wise. It's different. Social media is different to just boxing. Canelo has achieved a lot. He's accomplished. He's fought a lot of big guys. The guy's a pay-per-view star. Him and Golovkin still is a bigger fight than any of the fights you name.
Yeah,
Tank
I say something?
Tank is virtually unknown outside Baltimore.
Yeah, Canelo. Wait, hold up. Canelo's been in Hall of Fame fights, and Ryan Garcia is nowhere on that level. Neither is Tank Davis.
That's but like I said, it's like the rapper that sold platinum on his first CD. Is what have you done now? What is he doing to reinvent himself? Ryan Garcia.
Okay, well, let me see it. Okay. Well, let me ask you this then. I'm gonna get texted in here real quick because he's been waiting. But let me ask you this. Based on Canelo's viewership right now, we all agree it may not be good now, but is Ryan Garcia viewership any better than Canelo's right now?
You gotta realize the two of them. It's been built.
No, come on, Jalik, answer the question. Right, hold up, man. Answer the question. We all agree that Canelo's viewership is not good right now, but is Ryan Garcia's viewership any better than Canelo Alvarez?
Based on his own?
Yeah.
It's probably kind of this based on just the zone because he just been fighting on the zone. You got to remember, Canelo had a chance to.
That's what Canelo's doing.
You're not answering. No. Come on, answer the question, Jalik. Answer the question, bro.
I'm trying to explain to you, Ryan Garcia has bigger opponents that will create bigger buzz than Canelo.
I'm asking you right now, does he generate the viewership right now? More than Canelo? I'm asking, yes or no?
Listen, Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis is a bigger pay-per-view than any Canelo fight, and I would debate that with anybody.
Canelo sold 300,000 against Liam Smith. Canelo on his own could sell more pay-per-view
In
buys than either
2020,
guy.
during this
No,
fake
all right,
pandemic, and we talking about 2020 during this fake pandemic.
but he hasn't fought on
All
people.
right, okay. Hold on, man. Hold up.
We're
Jalik, we're 2020, right? I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna give you one more chance to answer this question. Jalik, I'm gonna give you one more chance to answer this question. We're 2020. Canelo's viewership may not be good right now, but can Ryan Garcia produce those numbers or more than Canelo?
I think so, absolutely.
Well, is he doing that right now?
I don't know because we don't know the numbers. I'm just talking about the buzz.
Why is he on the undercard if he's doing better
It's
numbers?
obvious Canelo's not doing it because they're not trying to pay him. It's obvious Canelo's not bringing a return on that.
Right.
So it's obvious Canelo ain't. And why the fuck you gonna pay Canelo 35 and you can pay Homeboy maybe $1.5 million and $2 million and he knows how to market himself? Canelo,
if he's such a big draw, why is he on the undercard? Like that don't make sense.
He's a main event against Campbell. Go ahead, Texan. We want to hear you.
Yeah, go. All right, go ahead, Terrence. Go ahead, say something, man.
My boy Ryan Garcia, y'all better wake up, man.
hey, Terrence, man, what's going on, man?
What's up, Dan? What's up, everybody? Man, I always like hearing Jalik freestyle on this type of stuff because he gets everybody involved.
He sure does, man.
Yeah, that's why I'm always silent, man, and I'm just like hearing all the points and everything. But I get where he's coming from and everything like that. But the main point that I want to try to get at is I really want to see like how Tank versus Leo Santa Cruz does like in October. That's when it's happening. Yeah. So I could get somewhat of a gauge. Like if it were like a couple 100,000, I don't know, like if it's gonna touch $1 million, but like in terms of pay-per-view buys, like compared to like what he's saying that it'll be. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jalik. You were saying that it's gonna be a lot more than
Tank versus Ryan Garcia.
Tank. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it would do better than anything Canelo versus anybody. I'm be honest with you. That's probably the Tank Ryan Garcia fight. Can probably do the same or more than Water and Fury 3. It's up there, bro. It's one of the biggest US pay-per-view fights up there. Now people laughing, but they gonna see that's a big fight. It's been building up for years. They gonna promote it. Floyd versus Oscar. They already doing it. If you notice, Fortuna took the fight with Linares. Fortuna is Al Heyman. Linares Golden Boy is already in my opinion, being worked on. If you look at Tank on Brian Custer's show, he said his next fight, he want to fight Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia said the same thing. If he knock out Luke Campbell, which I think he'll beat him. If he knock him out and does better than I expect, Canelo fuck around, be fighting on Ryan Garcia undercard. He keep playing. He need a new manager, bro. He ready to play with Ryan Garcia, bro. Ryan Garcia is taking over, bro. He not playing. He got the personality and everything. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I gotta admit, man, like Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell is probably gonna get some attention, man. Well, it is gonna get some attention more than a lot of people realize. So, but right now I'm just like focused on like how much paper, like in terms of this topic, I'm not necessarily like into the whole number crunching and everything like that in general as a fan, but like to your point about like the pay-per-view between Tank versus Ryan Garcia, I really got to see Tank versus Leo Santa Cruz first before I could gauge like where it's at, regardless of what people think about it right now, So that's my thing about it.
Well, hold up, Julie, hold up. So what do you think about the situation with Canelo and DAZN and what their relationship, how that's going to turn out? What do you think is going to be the aftermath of that, how that's going to end up? Terrence? Hello? You can get yourself off mute, man.
Oh, I thought you were asking Jalik.
No, I was asking you, man. So yeah, about DAZN. Yeah, you know about the situation with Canelo, and they're refusing to pay him his guaranteed purse, about $35 million. They want to cut that down to half by $17 million, but they're very, very, very selective who they want him to fight. They're telling him that you can't fight Yildirim. They won't approve that fight, so more likely that's going to go to a bid. It looks like PBC or Showtime is going to pick that up. Besides that, they're saying we'll let you fight Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders, but we're not paying you $35 million for either of those fights. You have to pay. We'll pay you $17 million. He's pissed off about that. And now, according to Mike Competer, that came out, the story that he released today, he tweeted out. He said that there's an internal bickering and fighting between the Zone and Golden Boy because they are not happy about Canelo's level of opposition since he signed on to the Zone for the last 2 years. They haven't gotten anything back from it. This, that, and the third. So they want him to fight Gennady Golovkin, but the problem with that is that you need a gate. You need a gate to make up the revenue for that fight. So, and I think what Golovkin and his team is arguing is that you never told us that we had to fight Gennady Golovkin to get our $35 million guarantee. So
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It looks like from the looks of it, Canelo's not going to fight for the remainder of the year. It's sad because he hasn't fought in 2020 at all, and it looks like this thing's going to be taken up to court. So how do you think this is going to play out? Should Canelo be let out of his contract along with Golden Boy, so they should go somewhere else, or do you think they should work out an agreement with the Zone?
Well, man, it's because like I really want to see Canelo fight somebody at this point, you know, whether it be in the contract or whatever, like politics are involved and everything like that. I gotta see something, man, because like he's been getting into like fights with Rocky Fielding and Sergey Kovalev. Like it's not a good look, man. You know, like at this point, like I don't care like what kind of like legalese that he has to get through and everything like that. He's got to fight somebody, you know. I personally think he should just leave Golden Boy, period. You know, like he should have done that a long time ago.
I agree, bro. They stealing from him, bro. Oscar taking it. Like,
So that's an interesting thing. So should he, if he does that, I know EJ just jumped out. So should he do that, should he go as a free agent or go sign with another promotion like Top Rank? If not that, then sign with like a management deal with Al Heyman and PBC.
I say Al Hamer, MTK Global.
He should be a free agent in my opinion.
So he always have the leverage and just use his name.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Cotto and Pacquiao are doing it right now. Yeah. So
and Al Heyman allows you to. You always got that leverage. Al Heyman got the leverage over everybody. How he does it, I actually don't know how he does it, but that's what Canelo need to always do. All fighters need to have the leverage, especially when you Canelo and you got the name, and he still have to do something on the marketing end as far as just there's certain things like revamping stuff a little bit, maybe connect with the fans a little bit more. It's certain things that he can do to build his brand up even bigger than what it is, but right now he doesn't have the team around him. I think low key Oscar probably jealous of Canelo, and he might. Oh man, I don't want to talk bad about nobody right now, but that I don't like the way Oscar is doing. First of all, Oscar he talking crazy about Canelo. He doing Ryan. I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? So I mean, it's weird, bro.
Well, Ryan is not. Ryan's trying to get out of that Golden Boy contract from the looks of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Your two most popular fighters that way. What about Virgil Ortiz, Rashidi Ellis? Like, why would you even sign with Golden Boy? Like, he's weird, bro. And he put himself in a bad situation. So, like, Oscar needs Canelo more than Canelo needs Oscar. It's hard for the industry to accept Oscar once he loses welfare check from his own. Like, who's going to deal with him? Showtime going to deal with him? ESPN, Fox? They not going to probably want to deal with him. They already, first of all, they got Top Rank and there's Al Heyman. So, I mean, he's in a challenging situation, bro. Oscar is.
Yeah, I see what you're saying on that one, man. But let's just hope this thing can get resolved, sooner rather than later, because we do want to see Canelo back in the ring. But for him to be held out like this, and so I was going to ask the other guys this question before they got jumped off, and I already asked Ahmed about this earlier. Now I have to reflect back to Deontay Wilder with the DAZN situation, which many people like myself, I admit, criticized Wilder for not signing on to that deal. You remember me, Jalik. I was on that hangout with Horseman at that time.
Yeah.
And, I was still trying to see Wilder's perspective too, but they weren't hearing it. But at the same time, you have to understand that DAZN admitted that they fucked up on that deal with Wilder because they weren't prepared to give him the details that they were asking, and why they weren't even prepared to answer the question, why is Joshua on a fight-by-fight deal basis, and not why you want me in a multi-fight deal?
That's a good question. But I looked at it like the music industry. Remember, whatchamacallit is you got to think of. I try to look at the big picture. DAZN is literally a threat to the pay-per-view model. Just like what's that shit called? Y'all remember Napster? It's CDs, right?
Yeah.
So it was doing everything they can to try to do it. Eventually, they changed it to all digital. So you got to realize behind the scenes,
ask all these people that want to do pay-per-view is silently going to collude. I'll use that word a lot. They're going to do everything in their power to try to make sure DAZN doesn't win, because it disrupts their financial backing. Every promoter's goal is to have a pay-per-view star. So if DAZN is coming in here telling you pay $9.99, they switched it to $20 and pay $100 a month, that's coming into their money. So secretly, even if they're not doing it purposely, they're going to make sure they do everything they can to try to knock DAZN out of the way. And let me say this, DAZN, in my opinion, put up better fights than anybody last year. And I would debate that with anybody. Their fights last year was better than anybody. And Showtime,
I gotta admit, man, like I got my money out of it, good money out of it, because I paid like for the year, the annual fee. Yeah.
DAZN fights was better than anybody, and Showtime is garbage. I don't know what somebody's saying. Showtime is like Bounce TV right now. And they, once again, they gave Al Heyman all the leverage. These guys, I think they scared of Al Heyman in a sense. They scared to tell him no. But people's like, the Charlo fight, the two Charlo fights is good. And then I get to see my boy Boots and Erickson Lubin against Gashad. That's solid. But to be honest with you, that's a boxing after dark fight. You get what I'm saying? So, and then that's pay-per-view. So Showtime ain't popping like that neither. So Showtime, believe it or not, people say Showtime might be out of business. Boxing as a whole is it's the marketing behind boxing, period, is not done in a good way.
Yeah, it's a very niche sport. So basically, their whole primary financial success is based on premium fights, on top level fights. So,
It's basically ran by like a bunch of older people, you know, like the ones that have been in the business for a long time. We need like fresh blood.
Exactly. And they don't get out of it because they greedy. Even though they probably got millions in the bank, they
Hey, I hear you, but hey, look, the zone cards were good, but of course, last year they were good. I mean, they're decent now, but they haven't been quite as good as they were last year. Let's be real. I mean, that's a good
I
point.
canceled my subscription for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty, and look, you will see my channel says Joshua and Team ducked Wilder into 50 million. I mean, look, they were both ducking each other. Even AJ even said it himself, man. So I mean, they both ducked each other. They all wanted terms their way. They couldn't get it, so that's why they were able to come to an agreement at least. I mean, at least on that situation. Big Boy, shout out to Big Boy out in New Zealand. He says that DAZN is a threat to pay-per-view. However, how long can DAZN pay their fighters these massive purses before they go belly up? Or will DAZN bring out a small pay-per-view fee to curb the huge costs? Good question. I think they're going to have to do that. I think it's coming.
That's true.
The pay-per-view, that's the only way they're going to do it.
Now, let me say this. If DAZN had, say, Al Heyman, and they had maybe somebody else, it would be totally different, because Al Heyman, he got a lot of quantity. He got a lot of good fighters, but he also got quantity. So that's why from a chess level, he can get the leverage on certain people. And that's why he got the leverage over the welterweights and top rank. And it's just the way he plays his hand is just to be honest with you, he's the most dominant force in boxing. And because the way he plays his hand as far as the business side of things, he always come out on top no matter what.
Right, exactly. So yeah, the Big Boys always make my has vilified my point, like I've been saying for years, and people call me crazy, saying, "Dan, you don't know what you're talking about. You just want the zone to fail." I was like, "No, I don't want them to fail. I'm just being rational. I'm just saying, how long could they say this by giving out all this money like this? I can't see how they're making all this money back on subscriptions. In fact, how do we know those subscriptions are retainable? What I mean by that is that people who watch Canelo Alvarez, right? They're going to pay one time just to watch his fights, and they're going to cancel until he fights again.
Yeah, that's true. And then also Golden Boy. See, if Golden Boy got three fighters that's kind of big. You got Canelo, Virgil Ortiz, and Ryan Garcia.
That's it.
That's basically it. They don't have another star, so they relying so much on Canelo. That's not good to have a business where you just got one star and just there. So what if Canelo leave Golden Boy? Where's that gonna leave him?
Yeah, they're gonna be the financial mess. It's kind of like Joshua if he leaves Matthew. I mean, Matthew's gonna be in a financial mess if he leaves.
Yeah.
So they need him. They definitely need Joshua to stick around. And Joshua is a loyalty guy. So we'll see how that plays out.
That's why I want no fighters that have an independent thinking state of mind.
Yeah.
Fighters become woke in a sense, and they understand who they are and their leverage. That's why they always try to keep the fighters dumb and not want to know.
Well, let me ask you guys this. The bottom line is this: was Wilder right in the right? Did he make the right decision for not signing on to the zone?
If he got 3 fights, if that Fury, who he fought, Fury Ortiz, I think it just estimate
Brazil, yeah,
probably got 70 million. I mean, probably not. It's probably just the same.
Yeah, I think so too. Like it's around the same.
Yeah, it's probably around the same. So it's kind of like you can't really say it's bad, especially in hindsight where DAZN is like, is DAZN even going to be around? Are they going to file bankruptcy and really get out of there?
Well, I think that will be all depending on if they can secure another $1 billion of funding, which was reported about a few weeks ago that they were trying to do that through an investment firm. So I think it's going through Goldman Sachs, who's hoping to help secure that funding. So if they can't get that funding, then we may see DAZN make some drastic cuts if they can't get that funding.
So Texan, where do you see Oscar if DAZN goes bankrupt? You know they ain't gonna have to pay Oscar his welfare money and Canelo, and they might only do it just for Matchroom USA. Remember, it's just for DAZN USA. Remember, DAZN is in other countries, and they was planning on expand even to the UK. Where do you see Golden Boy? Like, where do you see him? Like, do you think Steven Espinosa going to accept him, or where do you see him going?
That's a tough thing, you know. Maybe ESPN at their best bet, but considering their relationship in the past, you know, like all those
exactly.
Yeah.
Because Oscar kind of put him in a certain situation with his relationships, bro. That's why I'm saying I really don't even know like who would pick him up. And you know, Oscar, like, I'm not going to co-promote you with nobody else. He's going to have to give something up to get something. So that's why I know Oscar is crossing his fingers. He ain't trying to lose all this DAZN welfare money he getting. Because, bro, I don't know, man. We'll see.
But the main sticking point was the whole Richard Schaefer situation.
Oh yeah, that was a bitter situation. That was a nasty breakup between Golden Boy and Schaefer.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that would kind of that breakup right there kind of soured the relationship between Golden Boy and Showtime, to be honest, because they loved Richard Schaefer, Showtime.
Yeah, it is. Ain't it how they love Richard Schaefer, and Steven Espinosa used to be the lawyer for Oscar. So I'm like, I would think a better relationship. So it's something Oscar doing, man.
Yeah.
It's something he doing behind this. I don't know. He's doing something, bro.
Yeah. Hamed says that Oscar needs to put down the coke, and he also says that Golden Boy needs to sign some fighters. Hold up, Jalik. Hold up. He says that Golden Boy needs to sign fighters or match up Canelo Golovkin next year if they still want to be with DAZN. Bad boy said hit the like button. It's free. Thanks, man. But other than that, yeah, we'll see, guys. But we'll see how this plays out. But last question before I close this hangout, because I gotta get out of here shortly. So the Joshua looks like Anthony Joshua may eventually have to vacate his WBO belt because it looks like the WBO is going to call their mandatory next after the IBF. And Alexander Usyk, who is the mandatory challenger for that title, has made it very clear he's not stepping aside. He doesn't care what money you throw at him. He's not stepping aside. So if he vacates the title, it looks like Daniel Dubois and Usyk we fight for that vacant title. Now, should Joshua vacate that title? I'm gonna start with Jalik.
I don't think he should. And Daniel Dubois, to be honest with you, this is a 50-50 fight with Slow Motion Joe. Slow Motion Joe got a better chin than Daniel Dubois, and he might outwork him and stop him. So he probably won't even make it to even fight Usyk. It might be Joe Joyce on there. I don't think he should do it, but since Eddie Hearn is gonna have to see. This is where your promoter comes in hand. Eddie Hearn is going to have to convince Usyk to take step-aside money. And if I was Usyk, why not take $2 million for nothing, and then you get the winner? You might have to wait, but you get money for nothing, and then you fight other fighters. But I know his competitive nature not going to want to do that. So it's up to Eddie Hearn, since he co-promotes Usyk, to tell him, bro, this is too much money on the line with Tyson Fury. So I would give up the belt if I was homeboy. I would play the hand and have Eddie. I'll tell Eddie, like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, good stuff, man. So, Terrace, what do you think? Should Joshua vacate his belt? And if he does vacate, how do you see the Dubois and the and Usyk fight looking like?
Well, I think Joshua should still fight as mandatory. I don't know, like if Usyk is still fighting Chisora, is that
Oh
still a
yeah.
thing?
Yeah, they still scheduled. They're scheduled to fight, so they should be coming off next month. I think October 1st, so it's about 5 weeks away.
Oh, I thought it was on Halloween. Okay, that's the fight. I want to see that fight. That's a good one.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think Joshua should fight as mandatory. I mean, it is what it is. I hope deep down, I really hope Chisora wins. That way, we could just get the undisputed fight. Because I know Chisora will take that step aside money, considering his
Yeah,
age and everything like that. He'll just
yeah.
be like putting his feet on the chair, be like, you know what? Let's let these young guys fight. I'll get my shot eventually.
Yeah. Hey, yo, Big Boy made a good point in the chat. He says that Usyk only has one fight left on his matchroom contract. So after that, which is the Zor fight. So after that, Hearn has no power over him to tell him what he cannot do. So I didn't know that.
Good information, big boys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you for providing that information. I did not know that. I thought he had a couple
Yeah.
more fights left. But
Oh,
all
wow.
right.
So that means he only had a 2-fight deal with Matthews because he only fought that guy. I forget
With this fool, yeah.
And it'd be him. Oh wow.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
Well, so from the looks of it, it looks like Usyk may not be renewing with Matchroom based off what he's speaking, the way he's talking right now.
What you think, man? You think he should? You think he should get a belt up?
Yes and no, and let me explain why. Because let me just say this: Anthony Joshua has really had a tough career, tough career. He's fought dangerous opponent after dangerous opponent after dangerous opponent after dangerous opponent. As much as you and I have criticized him, that's a fact. He has. And he took a bad beat against Andrew Ruiz the first fight. He didn't really take much damage in the second fight, but still, though, you're still going in and against a fighter like Pulev. And a lot of people are overlooking Pulev. To my view, they don't think he's dangerous, but he still can land a big shot. And he punches very hard.
Yeah.
So I think if Joshua could get out of that fight unscathed, then maybe he should be able to defend his mandatory defense against Usyk. But if he doesn't get out of that fight unscathed, then maybe it'd be best to vacate that belt. Don't put that too much stress on you. You'll get it back later. You know what I mean?
So you promoting ducking now? Look at them.
Nah, come on, man. I'm not saying you call it ducking all you want to, but I'm just speaking logics.
You was cool with Riddick Bro throwing that belt in the trash.
Hell no, I wasn't.
Okay.
I was not cool with Riddick Bowe doing that.
It, bro. You sound
Nah. First of all, Riddick Bowe didn't have a schedule like Anthony Joshua did. He didn't have that type of schedule. Let's not get that twisted. Okay? I don't
He
recall
was
Riddick Bowe.
contractually obligated to face Lennox Lewis, right?
Yeah, he was. It was a mandatory fight. The WBC mandated the winner of Holyfield and Bowe to fight Lewis, no matter what, and then Bowe vacated the belt like a bitch. So let's be real. I never forgave Bowe for that bullshit. After he vacated that belt, his career was not really the same after that. So it's kind of like karma or fucking Hindu curse or some type of curse that he, what he did for avoiding that Lennox Lewis fight. But needless to say, though, I would say this, though. Yeah, you can't compare the Riddick Bowe situation with Anthony Joshua if he were to vacate. You can't do it. No way.
People don't know the details. They just gonna say he gave the belt up and didn't fight for undisputed. Watch. That's what they're gonna do, bro.
I know people are gonna say that, but you gotta look at it in another perspective.
I mean, because if he gonna fight Anthony Joshua, I mean Tyson Fury, it's gonna be 2 fights, so it's gonna be a year. Now, if Usyk is gonna win, beat Daniel Dubois or Joe Joyce, and then fight somebody and then fight for all 4 straps, then it'd be cool. Because Usyk is about that smoke. He's trying to fight big names, and people keep sleeping on Usyk too. People, he's small. Like people, better not sleep on Usyk, bro.
Yeah, exactly. But by the way, it was a 3-fight contract, not a 2-fight contract. Because his first fight was with Tony Bellew, which was a tough fight for Usyk, and then he knocked out Stop Bellew. Then Chadwick was the second fight. Then his third fight is with Chisora. So Big Boy says that Usyk is signed with the Zone. It had nothing to do with Matchroom because K2 is his actual prime promoter, which is true. That is true.
No, I didn't know K2 was. I thought it was Sauerland.
No, it's K2. Yeah, K2 is his promoter.
I don't know about that. I thought it was Sauerland, bro.
Nah, Sauerland never had Usyk. It was always K2.
I don't know about that, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was with K2.
Yeah.
He was Klitschko, right? And I ain't know that, bro.
Yeah. But I mean, look, I hope he doesn't vacate it, but if he does, I can understand why he vacates. If you want to call it a duck, it is a duck. I ain't gonna deny that.
But just though, I can see your point because he has been fighting somebody, and then he did get injured. He is kind of injured, ain't he?
He's injured right now. That's my whole point. He's injured right now. That's why that fight got pushed back, despite COVID. But Other than that, I don't know. Is he going to be? How this injury is going to how well he's going to perform coming off this injury. It's a big. I heard it was a very serious ankle injury that he suffered.
Yo,
So
Danny, man, you gotta open up your management company, bro. You'll be a good ass manager, bro.
that's what they say, man. I was thinking about going into boxing management, man.
Dan the manager. But you all right though, because you fighting back to back to back to back. You can't do that.
You can't do that. Yeah, that's too much strain on your body. I mean, that's what happened to Fernando. Yeah, that's what happened to Fernando. That's what happened to Fernando Vargas because I mean, Fernando Vargas. I think that was one of the main mistakes that main events did with Fernando. Very talented fighter, very amateur pedigree, Olympian, but they rushed it. You could say some argue that he rushed his career early. I mean, that's debatable, but it's like he went through back to back, tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. He kept getting knocked out, and his career got short because of those knockouts. He's been
Yeah,
punch
it
drunk
was
after that.
basically
Yeah,
off that Uruguay Campo thing.
one of my favorites too. That's my boy, yo. Damn. I hate to see fighters start talking slow. Like I hate that shit, bro. James Toney, one of my favorite. I hate to see that. That's why I want them to get all that money. That's why, to be honest with you, it's like I see what the zone is doing, but shit, if Canelo can get the bag, then let him get it. But it's gonna be real tough because the owner of the zone, they be billionaires, and they got if Canelo's not up on his promoting game, his law game is you can't even count on his law game because these guys is like masters of the law. Even if they losing, it's all about how you present yourself in court, bro. So we'll see, man. But I
Yeah,
appreciate you having me on, though, bro.
yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
wrap
it
this
was a
up.
good show, man.
Hey, man, appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the chat too, because there's people coming in more often, than usual since I came back. So,
That's your
yeah, so,
name, bro. Dan you need to change your name, Dan the manager, bro.
all right, man. I'll tell you what, you gave me an idea. I'll probably look at it to manage the fighters, man. I'm gonna try to do that.
Manager, bro.
All
All right.
right, man. You guys take care, man. Hey, I want
All
to
right, you
shout out
too,
to
man.
shout out to Terrence, shout out to Jalik, and shout out to EJ, D Style, and Ahmed. They were in the chat momentarily in the discussion, and shout out to Big Boys, man. A long time no hear, man. Glad to talk to you. You will see my channel. Uh, Blood, always a shout out to my brother Blood Boxing. Y'all make sure you check out his channel. Subscribe to Blood Boxing channel. It's called Retro's Boxing and Documentaries. Shout out to Joe Host out in the UK. And I did give a shout out to EJ Abuz, even though you do criticize me sometimes, but you still it's nothing but love, brother. Shout out to you. And yeah, other than that, I am out. Take care. Yeah, great chat as always, man. Take care, man. Other than that, I'm out. Till next time. Peace.